Do it.
Let's do it.
Hey,
what's up?
All right.
What's up?
This is another episode of UFO Garage.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joe, and you already know that this is where we talk about UFOs, aliens, and all things weird. What's up, dude?
Saw, dude.
Man, not much, man. Just crazy times, crazy everything.
Yeah.
The world is, I guess, depending on how you look at it, either falling apart or coming together. Either way, I'm glad to break away from that and get back to what we do good.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So this is the exact time that it's like, all right, let's leave all that shit at the door. And let's get into the good stuff.
I think the pot has been boiling in my psyche and my just overall energy. It's like I've been so frustrated just with everything going on. But like this is gonna be fun, man. Like we have awesome guests tonight that I'm super excited to hear.
Me too.
All the stories, and this is I'm excited to dig in and see what we can figure out.
Yeah. So we had some people reach out to us, Chad and Alta, and abducted in the French Quarter.
Chad and Alta.
So, guys, we don't know anything about this story. It's going to be like a first-time reaction type thing.
Yeah.
And they're going to be sending us our book. We're definitely going to read through it for sure. And but tonight is going to be fun because we're going to hear the story just fresh. Like,
just as if you haven't heard the story.
Just as if you haven't heard the story. So we're hearing it for the first time just like you guys. And
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
I'm excited. Well, we've got Chad and Alta. You guys say what's up, and say what's up to everybody. You guys there?
Yeah. So how are y'all? And thanks for having us on tonight.
Yeah.
And we're here, and we're so happy to be with you. And thanks so much for having us.
Well, thank you guys for reaching out, man. You know, it's a little risky sometimes. You just never know who you're gonna get, you know. But you know, I was reading through this little profile, and you know, very interesting. There's no way I could pass that up.
We're just so happy you didn't pass us up.
Oh, absolutely.
We enjoy sharing our stories, so other people that have experiences similar to us don't think they're alone. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important part. We're getting to a really, you know, I think a really important time in history for stuff like this again. You know, whether it be UFOs, aliens, anything paranormal. You know, people are definitely starting to change their mind a little bit. It doesn't sound like something that's just wacky, crazy. I think we're starting to kind of turn a new leaf with society and the way people view this. So I'm excited to get into it. I mean, if you guys, let's start. I mean, y'all have got years and years of this stuff. So let's start at the beginning, man.
Well, you can't see Chad, but he's pointing at me right now. So
All right.
I guess, as you know, as it should be, probably I'll jump us off in this and just start with my beginning, because I happen to be 10 years older than Chad.
Oh, right on.
So I've been around a minute longer than him, and my understanding about my early history is what I've been told. I don't have any childhood memories until I'm about 9 years old. Prior to that, it's blank. It's not there. Now, with that said, I'm told by a mother who pretty much raised me alone. She became widowed with my stepfather when I was about 15. And from that point on, she had stayed single or widowed for the rest of her life. But her story that she shared with me is that I'm born in Arizona. Excuse me. I'm of mixed native blood. I use the word Indian. I'm not PC at all. I'm in my I'm in my 60s now. I've never had children, and I don't have to be. I was raised to understand that I was Indian or mixed Indian, that the old term, so I stick with it.
Well, welcome home.
Right. And so Mom says that, you know, that I'm born, apparently, I always said hatched, and that she left my birth father when I was about 6 months old. So just for age range, give you all an idea, I'm a 57. I'm born in 1957.
Okay.
So she claims that somewhere when I'm around 6 months old, she leaves my dad and all of his people. Now, I don't know my mother's people at all. There's so much mystery, and I can only share what I know. I can tell you what I don't know, and most of it I don't know. But my reality is that Mom claims that when I'm about 6 months old, she left my dad without his knowledge. She just decided she was going to pack me up, and we were leaving. She says we're in the car, and I'm the only passenger in the car. Now, remember, I'm about 6 months old. She's driving. She claims that we're crossing the desert. I have no idea what desert she's talking about. She says that while she's driving in the middle of broad daylight, it's daylight, she claims that she changed the language a couple of times that I remember, either a UFO or a craft. She claims and said it was metallic, came down out of the sky, and stopped her on the road. That's what she said.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
that's right. So when I'm younger, when I'm a younger person, teenage years, what have you, or even younger, maybe 11, 12 or so, when memory is starting to, like I'm able to capture memory, hang on to it, this was a subject that I had no interest in, and it freaked me out, and it embarrassed me, and I hated it. And I would become invisible. I wish I could say physically, but no, I would disappear out of the room. She'd start to speak about that, and I like to share this also. My mom was very private. She had a lot of mystery in her history, and a lot of that is still a mystery to me. But my point is because she was so private, she was what I call a very powerful self-made woman. And
Right on.
I found that with her creation of self empowerment, if you will, people did not challenge her. They saw her as a mixed native elder woman who had a strong education. She went to college late in life. We'll get back to that in a moment, because that's very, to me, always been interesting, a part of this story. But in my younger life, before she started the college years, she had started working very hard on self-improvement and becoming self-reliant and what have you. Then ultimately what I discover is that when she would say this to a couple of people she ever trusted, because she trusted very few, but the few that I can account for, maybe two, over the years that she would share that story with, my point is nobody would ever challenge her. She was not a woman to be challenged. So, and I certainly didn't. I just got out of the room. I would go hide. I couldn't believe she was saying these things. I thought she was crazy.
Wow.
So I had no interest, even after hearing my own mother make those statements. Did I ever have an interest in any of this? None at all.
So did you have an innate embarrassment kind of feeling that overwhelmed you? Did you? I feel like this is kind of a learned tendency, but what you're saying, it's more of like a nature versus nurture kind of reaction.
I believe that would be correctamundo, sir.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
interesting.
Just again, without all the psychology behind it, let me go to my first memory. So my first memory is around 9 years old, and I'm sitting in a hospital facility. I then discovered I knew exactly. I can account for that exactly right now, all these years later. I was in a place called Fitzsimmons Military Hospital in Aurora, Colorado. All of a sudden, I go from 0 to 9 with memory. There's no memory before that.
Wow.
So the first memory is I'm in a military hospital, but I don't know that exactly at the time. I just realize my eyes are like waking up, like I'm waking up in a very sanitized environment. I'm sitting at a small table. There's a man in front of me, and there's a little wall between us, a little on the desk or on the tabletop. And I was being tested for ESP.
What?
Whoa.
Was it okay? Okay, so like a divider, not a clear plexiglass, but like a divider where you can't see the other side of the divider. Whoa.
That's right.
So this was like a triggering memory, but you're realizing as it's happening, like I've been here before. Is that what you're saying?
Not about been here before. I'm awakening. I'm realizing I'm awake.
Wow.
I don't know how else to say that. When you've been there's no other way to describe it. Prior to that, there's no memory.
Whoa.
Very
I have no
interesting.
childhood. I have no, that's why I say, I use the word comically, but I'm not so sure what's comic anymore in reality, whatever that means. It's like all of a sudden I'm being hatched. It's like all of a sudden, right? So I'm being tested. Then the memory goes. I only have that flash, literally with those flash cards, like a flash memory. And then I also know historically through my mother and some of the records, we lived in Aurora. We happened to live across the street from that hospital.
So I have a little bit of a question. So when you're in this hospital, your mom is obviously with you, or do you remember if she's with you or not?
No, I have no memory of her at all.
Ah, okay.
No, the memory is very flash. It's very quick.
Right. Okay. I have another question, but I'm going to let you keep going until I get to it because I want to make a point, I guess, but you might already make it for me. So let's kind of see where this goes. I like this. Yes.
So it's just this very brief moment of what I just described to you.
Uh-huh.
The man that's sitting in front of me has got a white lab coat on like a doctor, and the environment is very sanitized. And I remember I'm being asked to, and it's not even, I'm almost filling that in for you because it's so fast. The memory is so fast.
Right.
That the only reason I'm repeating it is because my mother confirmed that. She confirmed that.
Right.
That I was, in fact, being tested. But again, because I didn't ever question anything, these were subjects of, oh my God, I feel like a freak. I just feel like a freak. Now, you hear people all the time now because people think the heavens are starting to become more public, or at least allowing themselves to speak their truths more than we've ever had in the past.
Right.
And I hear this so often that folks are saying these kinds of, we're all saying the same thing in many ways about memory, the experiences, the embarrassment or the shame or the beauty of it all, whatever the case may be. Yeah. In my case, I have a flash memory of being tested for ESP. Then memory goes again. Now we fast forward. I'm somewhere around 11 or 12. We now live in Iowa, the Midwest. Now, I have no memory of leaving Colorado. I have no memory of anything in between. There's nothing there.
Whoa.
Next thing I know, I'm in the Midwest. And for about 10 years of my life, I lived, I would consider it as close to probably a normal, whatever that means, environment that I'm very pleased I have in my past. Iowa was an amazing place to spend my youth because Iowa is Iowa. It's a very unusual place.
Yeah.
And, right.
I don't know anything about that state, but I'd imagine it's like something out of a movie. I mean,
well, that's why there's so many metal bands that come from Iowa because there's nothing to do.
That's it exactly. But I'll also share with you, I've discovered since my childhood friends were all having UFO experiences and being taken. There's a lot of activity that goes on in Iowa, but because it is such a good kept secret, most people have no idea. Wow. So I spend my youth in Iowa from whatever, I guess we left Colorado between 9 and 10 when I'm in that age range. My memory kicks in somewhere around, I said 11, 12. I even want to kind of push that more closer to 12, 13. And in between there, that memory is not there. It comes in, it goes out. It's like a wave that comes in and goes out. So I can't even account for what's a reality and what am I imagining, whatever.
Right.
So then as teenager, I had this very beautiful in many ways teenagehood. I'm being raised in a city surrounded in cornfields. I mean, it's just, like you said, metal bands. I mean, that was my world.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking I'm living something normal, but I'm telling you, as a human being or whatever I am, I never thought of myself as normal or anything associated with that word. It felt almost impostery, like I was an imposter. And I could never get a handle on that. Just that word that we all seem to be using now, being different.
Right.
And that was me, definitely in the middle of Iowa. I mean, I'm originally out of Arizona. Told I lived in California when I'm little, and so on. And now I'm in Iowa.
So right off the bat, we're already experiencing some time loss. I mean, we all forget certain things in our childhood, and little things like that. But I would imagine that road trip from Colorado to Iowa would have been kind of hell for a kid to be stuck in a car.
Very memorable experience.
Yeah.
When my mom would take me like shopping, we grew up in a small town. When she would take me shopping in a big town, it was like 30 minutes away. It was the worst day of my life.
45 minutes of your life.
Worst day of mine's not there. So my worst days apparently got removed because there's no memory of that. Right. None of that.
Wow.
Then there was another sort of thought that came about my period of time of living there and these experiences. I don't remember ever anything about out there while I'm in Iowa. When I say out there, nothing about UFOs, nothing about beings, crafts, none of that. I'm experiencing, now I've kind of babied up all the language just to get through it. So instead of the word ghost, I call them ghosties.
Love that.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
So I start experiencing what others would, in all their language. I try to stay away from language because I find that that's going to change constantly. But I'm experiencing a lot of what I would consider ghosty type of interaction.
Wow. And
because my mother said and had told me about confirming about this being tested for ESP business, it almost seemed natural to her. And it didn't seem that unnatural to me to have a sensitivity to my word ghosties.
So it was more of like an expectation in your household to experiencing weird noises or feelings of being watched in some way. I mean, a lot of people that have like experiences with the paranormal, ghosts or something have this overwhelming feeling like, oh, there's something in this friggin' room, dude.
Always. Oh yeah, absolutely. And then even more so in the level of, I certainly have heard other people having a lot bigger kinds of experiences and whatever, but mine were subtle in many ways. And certainly you just nailed it. Never feeling alone. But it was never comforting. It was always being watched. Always. That some unseen force was watching me. And I never liked it. In fact, sirs, to this day, I don't allow photos. I do not allow photos under any circumstances if I can help it.
Wow.
Now, there's been times that they've been taken. When I'm in my regalia, in my native regalia, I was raised to be a part of the native world, but from an extension, because my mom, again, with all her mystery, she made sure, though, that I always had regalia. I've been a traditional dancer at powwows back in the day, so on and so forth. So it's like I've always had that world kind of interjected into this other world that I'm having a hard time defining.
Yeah.
So
what I love is that we're here. I did not know that you were Native American. So I have so many questions. I'm excited to hear the rest of it, but like your connection with the spirit world, because there's many different ways of describing it in different cultures. So I just have a feeling like, man, the foreshadowing is apparent right now.
Right.
Yeah.
What's also interesting is I am a very light-skinned female. When I'm younger, I'm more olive-colored. I have long, dark hair and all of that. But people never knew what I was.
You just described me.
I think that, you described Joe.
Well, I've seen you, Joe, and that I feel like that might clearly make sense. As I'm growing up, again, not only do I seem exotic to those Iowegians, is what I lovingly call them.
Yeah.
Because they knew. For instance, my mom introduced tacos to the city we lived in.
What?
Those folks they'd never experienced a taco back in the 70s. Right. 60s, late 60s, 70s. So mom was, introducing some of this kind of food to my friends who had never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
I know it is so foreign.
That's true love. I mean, you're spreading actual love.
I feel like in Iowa, like the concept of a taco is so foreign. Like even today, like what?
We have all this corn and we've never made a taco out of it.
Exactly.
Tamale.
Tamale. Right. Now it's probably all tacos and tamales, but back in the day, my friends that I've reconnected with 40 years later have shared with me, your mother introduced me to a taco. And I'm like, you didn't just say that. You did not.
That's cool.
But like you said, sharing love, we share love with food. We're foodies. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this, I'm trying to get it off of me and back into Chad a little bit, but my story is so bizarre just in itself. Chad seems to have somewhat of a normal history. Mine, everything but. Excuse me, to the point of where when I say to you I don't allow photos, I'll just say this. Prior to me determining what I could and could not put up with any longer in my life, such as photos, I have no baby pictures at all.
Wow.
My pictures don't start until I'm 2, as if I didn't exist until I was 2 years old.
Wow.
And then it seems like there's way too many of them. My mom became one of the first. Her words. Now, I've not tried to research it to prove it. Repeating her words was one of the first 3 women in the United States with a chauffeur's license. Back back in the late 50s, early 60s.
For semis.
She got a guy to teach her how to drive an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
And she became a driver and carried me with her. For the first, my understanding is 5 years of my life, was raised on an 18-wheeler with my mother, driving from coast to coast. So when I tell you again, a self-made woman, she clearly was, because her life then changed dramatically later. But, she was staying in movement. She was keeping me in movement. Now, again, I have no memories of any of this.
Right.
These are her words. So there's no baby pictures of me. I have never seen an original birth certificate, ever. And then there's a very strange story later on, if we have time and you're all still interested, to share with you about something that happened to me in this marriage with Chad about my name. It took on a whole different direction.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
Cool.
I would love to get it. I want to... Okay, you can tell me if I'm like completely missing the mark or maybe if we're kind of heading in the right direction. I kind of want to speculate a little bit here. Just from kind of hearing your story, I'm getting this kind of this mind control type vibe, living next to a military base, not knowing your childhood. You're kind of like, it's not saying split personality, but it's almost like you have this other side of you that you don't know anything about. And then your mom just so abruptly like picking you up and leaving. And it's like, we're getting the hell out of here. And that's that, but still, even with that, we're going to move. The powers that be know pretty much, they know a lot. They know everything.
They know everything, and they always have.
And we get to this. Go for it. I'm sorry.
If I can interject, maybe, she tested so positive.
Right.
In this test that she's just, her mom just said, okay, we need to move on. Because this was also the time of like the, when that it just escaped me, when they were trying to focus on other countries, what is it called,
Oh yeah, oh man, now that you said that,
Right.
not Montauk, the MK Ultra.
Yeah, the MK Ultra, the
remote viewing stuff.
remote viewing.
Yep,
The
remote viewing. Yeah.
Because she, Alta also, and her mom would tell me that she would have these dreams. Is like she would have these dreams of what's coming up, and her mom would say, "No, you can't talk about that. You don't talk about that."
Yeah, it's classified.
Yeah, I mean that's classic like remote viewing MK Ultra type stuff where you take children at a very young age, you kind of manipulate them, you start testing them for ESP, you start testing them to see if they can remote view, seeing how powerful they are, and I mean this is like,
and they monitor you as you grow up,
and they monitor you as you get older, and it's really kind of falling into that realm. And it's like, most people on the outside would say that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, but the level of detail that you're able to go in.
And now that there's actual documents, government documents that are out that you can find, I mean, it's a lot more it's very, very credible. It's very possible,
Right.
Well, and I'll remind all of us what I can't get past is, and not having my mom physically here to communicate with, I'm left to whatever it is I'm able to do. And people are always like, well, if you have all this and you can do that and whatever, why don't you just ask her? Well, don't think I trust anything at this stage of my game, because I don't.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I just
Right.
don't. But also take note of what I've never gotten past is her claim that a craft came out of the sky and stopped her on the road while we were driving.
Oh, that's very apparent. That's in the forefront of my mind as I'm working through this story already. Like,
Right.
the first thing that happens when the first thing is that your mom takes you away at 6 months old. That's very young. That's not. I mean, it happens, but it's not all that common. And then on your way out, you get visited by who knows what it was.
Right. Exactly. And the fact is that she just disappeared. My dad and all his people were copper miners. And we lived in an environment that was all copper mining. And turquoise and copper.
Yeah.
Nice.
Her story is, and she stuck to it, was he went to work one day and she said, that's enough. And she claimed she packed me up and we got gone. And when he came home from work, we were gone. And we never had another connection until I was 27.
Wow.
And then at 27, it took on a different path. But her reality, or at least the reality she handed me, was, she waited until he went to work and she packed me up and she got gone.
Yeah. A lot easier to disappear in
58, 57.
Right. But still, like, it's,
and what a way to do it. Learn how to drive an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
And you're a woman. She claims she's the first of 3 women. She claims she's the only one that had a baby. And somehow or other, I can't deny that.
Yeah.
Because I just, so that is the beginnings of this crazy story. And then Iowa, and then first years of college in Iowa. And then all of a sudden, mom decides, so as I was saying, I'm ghosty connected. But I'm not living for that. It was not something that to me, it almost seemed natural to have a connection with the other side. Now, I don't even know what I'm really saying, because it's all just so bizarre. But it seemed to happen to me. And it just seemed to become, and because mom was already tuned into something I wasn't aware of, because I think she had a whole lot more knowledge than I still have.
Yeah.
That did not surprise her. She seemed almost pleased.
Wow.
She loved that I had these abilities. My mother claims she never had a dream. Now, I've never met a human being that claimed they've never had a dream.
Right.
But that's what she told me, that she had never had a dream.
Wow. Huh.
Do you dream?
that's the deal. From the time I could start speaking, I'm a prophetic dreamer. And that's what Chad was sharing with you a little bit ago, is that, these dreams we use the word dream, but I distinguish them as visions, because they would happen enough. Not all the time, but it would happen enough. And so it was something she loved. She loved everything about me in this regards, because she claimed she had none of it.
Wow.
As I said, she claimed she never even dreamt. And so, that was just, and I'd hear this kind of stuff from her, and then I wouldn't know what to say. It was like, really?
Wow.
Really?
It's almost like whatever cosmic power is out there didn't give your mother these certain things, and it was supposed to be passed on to you at a very high level, and that's why she never experienced these dreams or visions or anything. It was almost like she had the ability but wasn't able to use it, and it was supposed to be passed on to you for a specific reason.
Chad is saying something right now I'd like him to repeat, because this is coming. He's having a memory about my story.
I believe now, Alta's a craft woman. Her mom was a craft woman. I mean, she brain tanned. She made...
Talking about native crafts.
Right.
Artists.
Okay.
Right.
Her mom was a craftswoman. She could do anything.
Anything.
Native American.
And I can't, but she could.
Oh.
Alta can. But...
Well, I chose not to, I guess.
But her dad,
my dad,
I believe,
my
had
birthfather.
the gift of...
My dad had it.
Of different, like
the common word of psychic
sight,
and...
Or psychic, or...
We hate that language, but...
Very different kind of things.
He knew things.
Yeah. And, like she said, she didn't
Feels like it came from him.
He was 20... She was 27.
I was 27, right?
When she met him. So, but
and I'm his only child, and I'm named after him.
I'm thinking about, this is so interesting. I'm thinking about this too. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but so your birth father was a copper and turquoise miner. I mean, we all know that those two elements have a lot of energy in them.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me that someone who's, I don't know if that gift was a birth thing or maybe just being around it as much as he acquired something that passed down genetically, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating, but
well, it's all speculation. But he had it.
Alta also has an uncle that he was the last
Pony Express rider.
If
you've ever heard of the Pony Express, my uncle was the last one.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got to meet him.
Uncle Shorty.
He was like
teeny.
5 foot nothing.
5 foot nothing.
And he was kind of round by the time I met him, because he was elder.
Yeah.
But he was like, I mean, and you can look him up on
they did
Arizona highways.
National Geographic did a big thing about him.
And like his name was Uncle Shorty is the way I got introduced to him.
Awesome. If I might interject also, Chad, don't lose your thought, Chad. I love that. But I just wanted to interject. Uncle Shorty had a cabin that was built to size.
Yeah,
you had to duck.
To scale
to get in like being in a dwarf
built
house.
to size.
Right. Yeah. That happened to be almost in the same vicinity that Travis Walton was taken.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. Out in the Snowflake area?
That's it exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Actually, Sholo.
Okay.
And the property was up in that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And we're talking about pretty much the same vicinity that Walton went poof.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which I just think is just interesting, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely.
That's super interesting. Wow.
So,
okay. We got Uncle Shorty in the building right now.
That's right. We got Uncle Shorty in the building.
Yeah. Alta and her dad took me up there when
once
we went out there, and
we had a brief encounter, my dad and I.
I'm like 6'2", and this guy's like 5 something. And,
5 nothing.
This cabin was built to scale for him. We're way up in. I mean,
It's in the middle of nowhere.
We left Tucson and it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we left with, blue jeans and a t-shirt. By the time we get up there,
we're in a blizzard.
We've got like 3 foot of snow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Blizzard.
Yeah. And it was just crazy.
It
cool.
was crazy, and it was
cool,
fabulous. And at the time, we knew nothing about a Walton. We didn't know anything about any of this.
This was
subject or anything like it. We're trying to have a
early 90s
meeting of the minds of a father and a daughter who didn't go well. It didn't go well at all, but we tried. We gave it our very best, and so he's sort of a blip in the story. But as Chad was saying, and where it came from is Chad remembers he seemed to have that ability of being able to know the future.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's where it's always felt like it came from, is him, through him, some way, somehow. As I said, I'm his own child, and I'm named after him, and I don't know.
Do you think maybe there was something that happened where your dad had projected the future and your mom was like, that shit's wild. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Me and the child are getting out of here.
Whoa.
I wish it was. That sounds wonderful movie, but no. He was a jerk. He was just a jerk.
Hey, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, he was. Well, I discovered he was not particularly a nice person, and for whatever all that history is about, who knows? I like your thought. Well, I'd like to claim it, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case.
Right.
She had just finally decided she'd had enough.
Yeah.
And who knows, again, what all was truly involved. Like I said, a craft. Who's talking about UFOs coming out of the sky in broad daylight on the desert between a mother and a 6-month-old baby driving the highway? Now, I know that it's happened a lot more than anybody's claiming. A lot more than anyone's claiming. But the reality is, that's not a story you ever hear too much about. So who knows what is really going on here?
Right.
This is just my version of the story, and I'm sticking with it because it's all I know at this point.
I mean, it's fascinating. So, I mean,
it kind of makes me think. I know that you had listened to the Michael Schratt episode. You were telling me.
Absolutely. Fabulous.
Michael is.
You all were wonderful. If I can't compliment you enough, I love him.
Michael's
and you
awesome.
all are wonderful.
Yeah, he's
It was
awesome.
just the best. It was the best time.
It's like if you are like maybe being tracked by this shadow government entity, right? And you guys are leaving, and all of a sudden they're keeping an eye on you, and then this thing lands in the middle of the road. Michael Schratt really pokes your brain a little bit, and it's like, man, is that something that we have, the military, and they're tracking you, trying to stop you? Like, I don't know. It's just possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it could go. Yeah.
Endless.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you're right. Endless possibilities. Are endless.
There are, but in my mind, I boil it down to two possible options, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. It could be both. Which one happened first? I believe. I mean, I think people that have gone through. I mean, this is the first I've heard firsthand of this happening as a young child, but that definitely felt like a more of a military operation with the ESP testing. But I'm willing to bet that first experience you had when you were 6 months old was ET encounter, and that's why the military was interested in you guys. And you don't have to be enrolled into any kind of program to be targeted by, I would imagine, these people. Yeah. Like, they just know, like, we saw on our radar that there was a car and a craft, and there was some weird shit going on. So we're going to, follow them wherever they go. That, to me, that kind of gives validity and a reason why your mother wanted to move around and not stay in one place in the first place. She had a motivation.
Crazy. Her history that I was able to discover is so bizarre that, meaning, and I'll shorten that story, my mother had polio.
Oh, wow.
When she was, she had it, I think, for like 10 years. She was in the Shriners Hospital for Children with Polio in San Francisco. Now, her story, and she stuck with it, and I can't counteract it because I never met her mother or her father. I know none of her people. Her story was her mother had married money in Northern California, and I think this is interesting, in the Bohemian Grove area.
Whoa.
Was my mother's childhood. That was her childhood. Right.
That's
She came from that area as a child.
That's not a good place to be a child.
I wouldn't think so.
Oh.
And now there was no discussion about Bohemian Grove with my mother and I or any of that. I'm just telling you, all my research since has shown me that was the area she was raised in. And then she contracted polio when I think she was around 9 or 10, which is interesting because that's my first memory age. She's now she has a mother who married money, who my mom claims hated her, wanted nothing to do with her. Wow. So my mother claims that I'm sorry to get into all this really deep personal, but it goes right along with the mystery of all the rest of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Her story, and I've done as much research as I can on some of these records that I've managed to hang on to that after she died, I discovered. One of these records is my mother legally changed her name when she was 14. She became a ward of the state. Her mother gave up all rights to her once she contracted polio and basically became a ward of the state.
What?
So my mom, apparently back in the 40s, this would have been the 40s, had the ability, or she had the legal right to change her name. So she did so when she's around, I don't know what it was, 14, I guess, something like that. And so her first name her birth name was not the name I knew her by or anybody else knew her by all of her life, because she legally changed it. Damn. So that means everything changed. Getting records, getting access, that doesn't exist. I'll tell you, to this day, I've tried so many times to deal with a man who's become quite phenomenal in this arena called Grant Cameron.
Oh, wow.
Grant Cameron starts with telling the world he's involved in trying to understand all these shenanigans with the presidents and the politicians and UFOs. Well, now he's moved on from that level. He's now into all this consciousness and so on and so forth. I contacted him many years ago. I don't understand computers at all. There's nothing tech about me. I'm mental. I am not physical when it comes to, I think computers are archaic, to be quite honest with you.
Love
and
that.
I always have. I don't understand why we're not talking to each other's minds.
Yeah, that'd be so much easier.
Absolutely.
Right.
Skype still hasn't figured out how to make a clear connection.
Exactly. Archaic. So, I use that as a good excuse. I don't even hardly know how to turn a computer on. And I never had kids. And I hear you need one of those to know how to operate these things. Well, yeah, we never did that.
I don't know if AT&T has that program yet, but maybe, I don't know, maybe Google's working on that program.
If you buy an iPad, you get a free kid.
I'll let you keep it. I don't have one of them iPad-y things
as long as we can just put them in the closet and they don't eat.
Well, you can trade them in whenever you're available for an upgrade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of liking this plan here.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I, in my very feeble way, sent an email back in the day. And this was, many years ago, before he had shifted to the consciousness kind of studies and all he's involved with now. And he kindly, and I couldn't believe he responded to me. It was short, not sweet, and very direct. But I'm extremely grateful. And if anybody hears this interview tonight and hangs in here with me battling on like I am, I'd like to just say publicly again how grateful I am that he at least responded. Because so many, once they get a name in this field, don't.
Oh, yeah.
We know all too well.
Yeah, we all do. We don't even have to waste our energy with that. So the beauty of Grant Cameron, even though he won't deal with me now because I can't get through to him, because I don't know what I'm doing, he did. I asked him, I told him what I shared with you. I was tested for ESP at Fitzsimmons Hospital in Aurora, Colorado. Sir, how do I get those records? What do I have to do to get those records? And he responded in a very short, it's been several years ago, but I think it was a one sentence, good luck. Like, that's not going to happen. Good luck. He made it very clear. He had no words of wisdom for me at all on that subject.
Wow. Well, he might have been a little protective of, who's intercepting this email at his level. At his level, he can never be too careful.
Protecting his sources and things like that. It's almost like a conversation you have to have like in person sometimes,
or on the UFO Garage Podcast, Somebody might hear it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Michael Stratt seems to be pretty good at getting those documents.
Right. And this is why I continue to, against all odds, reach to folks like yourself, to all that will hear us, to give us either a voice or at least allow me to ask these questions, because I'm praying that somebody out there is going to hear this and help. I hear all the people. I even heard you speaking earlier you did a show, and I didn't hear the whole thing, with a woman who is an experiencer, and she sent you her book, A Dirty Little Secret, I think is the name of the book.
Yep, Erin Montgomery, yeah.
Yes.
So I only heard the very beginning of that, but what I do remember recalling about all of that was, now I just sort of lost my train of thought, like Chad just did earlier on that. She was talking about how she's involved in all these support groups and so on. Let me just offer to you all, Chad and I have never had that benefit. We have been in this game now for a very long time. We'd had never written a book. Neither one of us know how to write, nor were we ever interested in any of that.
Right.
We reached out, and I have reached out consistently since 2002 is when I started this, to get help.
Yeah.
That has not happened. Not only has that not happened, we have been treated abhorrently, and it's cost me a lot of money. And so because of that, and we're talking about with big names out there, because it's turned into this cottage industry. So we just don't understand, because I'm carrying objects in my body that nobody is interested in. And I can't comprehend that. I don't care about all the rest of it. I cannot believe. And I'm trying to find my gratefulness, because maybe we are being spared of God knows what could happen to me.
That's a good way of looking at it. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt or anything, but like,
no, please do. No.
Me and Joe are so new into this whole environment. Like, we've always been interested, but now that we have a platform and we actually have people that listen to our show, like, we've been able to go to a few conferences and stuff.
I heard that.
Yeah, and it's been really fun. Also, we've kind of gotten to see the other side, where like there are so many stories when you are in person and get to meet these people, and they want to share their story. I want to tell everybody, yes, please, I want to give you as much time as possible. Please be on our show. And then the time passes, and then it's just, things come and things go. It's always been kind of a passive thing for us. It's not that we're, if there's a listener out there that's talked to us in San Francisco, I know there was a couple people that I really wanted to hear their story, but I never got their info. That's kind of the thing that I guess my point is that there are so many stories. I can't imagine if your name is actually known, how many stories they hear, because we are not like nobodies, and we've got to talk to so many people, and there's so many people we haven't gotten to hear their full story from. That's right. So maybe there's some kind of maybe it's I don't think the community as a whole is doing it on purpose. I think it's just what happens when you've experienced something like this.
Let me interject this, because what has happened to us, I'm not hearing is happening to anyone else. And that I can't comprehend. Such as the first person that was getting involved in researching us, that claims they have a support group and are very well known, came to our home, and he brought his assistant with him. Well, that assistant was his mistress. He left his wife at home.
What?
That's one thing. There's a whole lot to that, and I won't trouble. Somebody else that is world known as a regressionist took $300 cash out of my hand and abused me. I never got the regression.
Wow. What?
I'm suggesting to you the things that we have experienced has been mind-blowing by this community. And it is like, really? We're really all we are interested in. We don't care who you're sleeping with, what you're doing. That's none of our business. We don't care. But don't bring it to my home. And then don't use that as some way to get the world to not pay attention to us.
Yeah,
there's a lot of this that's happened to us. And because we have truths that I think they're too afraid that we would out or suggest or tell, there's been a lot of work behind, not that Chad and Alta are that important, but on some level, we're important enough to have been silenced. That's what I do know.
Yeah, I mean, there is absolutely, I agree with you 100%. There are a lot of like predatory assholes that are in this field. And there's a lot of people who are really just in it to make a quick buck. And I mean, you know, that is a very, you know, it's a really big bummer. We have a really good friend, Lorian Fenton, and
I know her well.
Yes,
know her.
yes, and she's really awesome at just calling people's bullshit. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure where you guys are on like the whole like getting some help or like just having somebody to kind of talk to you. But I mean, if y'all are willing to, I'd like to get like y'all's email and stuff. We have a guy that, you know, we're working with who just helps people all the time. I mean, he's got people from all over the world that he helps, and it's an everyday thing. He doesn't have a book. He doesn't make any money. He lives out in a trailer in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, the guy, you know, this stuff happened to him, and you know, he noticed, you know, his big thing is somebody took the time to help him, and the only payment that person wanted was for him to repay the help that he got. And so now he lives his life trying to help people as much as possible, you know?
Are you comfortable to share his name or?
Yeah, it's Eric Mitchell.
Eric Mitchell.
Okay, nope, that's not a name I don't know, and I love that I don't know that name.
Yes,
he's the best dude ever.
Refreshing to hear.
It's on purpose. I promise you, it's on purpose.
Right.
And we've said this on the podcast. We met Eric. He's got a fascinating story. We met him in San Francisco, and we just became really, really good friends. And he's getting ready to tell his story. And so Ben and I volunteered to help him. We're trying to put a little documentary together for him and things like that. But he is the most just purely sincere, nice dude like I've ever met. I mean, he's just, when he talks, you listen because you care about what he has to say, because he doesn't want to tell you what he knows. He wants to listen to you and hear what you have to say, and then move on from there. If you ask him questions, he'll talk to you. But I mean, he's not there to spread his story. He's not a millionaire, you know. He's just a very simple man with an amazing story, and he's done a lot of stuff for the community that you would never know Eric Mitchell was a part of.
Yeah,
well, there's the secret right there. Well, I'll out myself because nobody gave us a book of rules, right? There's no book of rules.
There is not one. No,
not one. And so when our experience happened, the word we've created a word. It's called orb-ducted, not abducted. Orb-ducted.
Yeah, yes. I apologize. I think I said abducted earlier.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you know, the language is easy, but that word was created very specifically to get the point across. We got a kind of a different story. And, but the point is that when that all came about, neither one of us, as I started to say to you, ever intended to write a book. Neither one of us ever intended to be public. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yep.
Public about this. But I'm here outing myself. Chad had nothing to do with this. He is an innocent bystander in what I did. And what I did is I got angry. First I got hurt. And then I got pissed. And then I said, F this. This is insanity. We trusted somebody who is very well known that was going to research us. They were going to research us. That's all we ever asked for is investigation, research, help. And that person convinced us that's what they were going to do. The next thing we know, they asked us if we'd be on their radio show. I didn't think that was a good idea, but hey, they're the expert. They wanted us to do it. We did it. We put them over the ratings, whatever that means, this BS language. They were so happy with themselves. They couldn't breathe any longer. And they were done with us. They were done. God. All they wanted was that interview. Whatever.
I just need you to know. I just need you to know that I apologize for what I said earlier. I was just trying to be optimistic. I did not know how deep this story went. So I kind of take whatever point I was trying to make. Please know that it was in good intention.
Always, absolutely.
Yeah, we could go. I mean, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
Yeah, really.
All the way, baby.
Wherever the rabbit finished making that hole.
We have not found the bottom yet. So. Just kind of sharing the ugly part of this, just getting it out of the way, just so you all know.
Have to.
I think it's really important to talk about this right now because we haven't even scratched the surface to your story, right. I feel like. So
because the experiences are so freaking amazing. They're so amazing that this human aspect of it, I'm so sorry that, taking up the time sharing this, but this is what happened. I'll finish this level of it. I got so hurt. Then I got so pissed. I said, F it. Chad, I'm going to make sure the world knows we exist.
Hell yeah.
We cannot be shit on anymore, stomped on, buried. They'll know we exist. The story is over. The good, the bad, and the indifferent, more wrong of my behavior is I contacted anybody I could get my little paws on that had a podcast, had a radio show, had anything that seemed to have interest in us, and they all jumped on it. And so we've done probably, I'm guessing, 200 interviews around the world.
Wow. Well, since 2011.
We've been interviewing since 2011. Well, that's done nothing for us, nothing in the sense of anybody having any interest in us. But once I started it, I couldn't stop it because I kept, and I still do. As long as I take breath, I'm trying to have understanding, and we're trying to find people that care, who are actually interested in what is going on here. Because as I said to you again, I am carrying something in my body that nobody seems to take interest in, and I don't comprehend that at all. And so, for the right, wrong, or indifferent of that, maybe we've been spared. I'd like to think that's what's really happened here.
Yeah.
Or maybe we are just so special, the ridiculousness of it all, the ego of it all. But it's led us to becoming so public, because being public has not helped us at all. Being public has only hurt us in many ways. Thank God Chad can't be hurt, because Chad is so special. He don't care. He don't care what you think. He don't care your attitude. He don't care.
Oh, right, Chad.
Hell yeah. You need people like that in your life, for sure.
Absolutely.
That's why we're 30 years together, right?
I'm Ben's Chad.
Yeah.
That's right. You're Ben's Chad.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the ugly part of all of this. While we're at it, and I don't mind saying this publicly because we've never comprehended this. We've met Walton in a couple of certain special occasions.
Uh-huh.
The minute that we met Travis Walton, he looked at me like he'd seen a devil. And he couldn't get away from us fast enough. Or a ghost. And I tried to tell him, Uncle Shorty is your neighbor. You have to know Uncle Shorty. He was, the moment I bring up, we've got a connection. He didn't walk, he ran. And then we saw him a few more times at conferences. We were vendors at conferences. We started traveling the country. We're artisans. And we have a wearable art that we started creating, and then also trying to speak about what's happened to us and whatever. We never got on the circuit. We're not any of that.
Yeah, this
part
was
of
before
it.
the book.
And this, no book or nothing like that. So we're already out in that area of having an opportunity to see these people on these other levels at these shows and whatever. And each time we saw him, he would glare. We even bought his damn book, and he would do nothing but glare at us. Now, you can't be too public about things like that because he's worshipped. But we don't understand at all what that behavior is about. We don't get it. We don't comprehend it. We only know we have experienced it. And it's happened times. And it's one of the few times I've seen Chad get offended.
Wow.
Because he doesn't get offended.
Yeah.
And so we don't comprehend any of this. We're not understanding. I guess it's meant to be. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so strange.
And get a chance to talk with you guys. So hallelujah.
I wonder why the conversation hasn't happened. That's strange. That's strange.
Yeah, that is weird. I mean, it's almost like, we've met Travis. I mean, he was nice to us. We haven't had,
He's nice to everybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting.
Awesome. I mean,
we just don't understand.
It was just a weird kind of,
and it's been weird each time we've seen
something between us.
We don't get it.
I
will mention
we want to share with him and talk with him, but
I will mention that one of the beings that he describes his encounters were is exactly identically to who I was with. So,
wow.
And fine.
And you'll understand that further as we get into that experience.
I wonder if it's he felt this ET presence about y'all and it freaked him out, or if it was like hey, we've got a legit story as well, and it was almost like threatening, because and the old guard, it's like that is the story. You have the Whitley Strieber story. I mean, you got these big, old head type stories that are like what make ufology almost. And, maybe there's a little threat by that.
Clearly, it's interesting how you said
if there's too many of us in the same room, are we going to get...
And then my take on that, what you just said makes so much sense to me, because when you listen to him, as you all have heard him, speak about his experiences, he didn't like any of it. No. He was not enjoying any of his experience, my understanding was, as he's describing back in the day. Right. And so what you just said was so interesting to me just now, because he certainly seemed to react that way towards us, as if there was something there that I couldn't see and I didn't understand, because I come in and I still do, even being abused, being tossed and abused and kind of stomped on and called everything in the book. People think because we've done so many interviews that we are these publicity hogs. And then they hear, we've had lots of comments about our title of our book, of how, well, don't blame us because we're brilliant. Come up with a new word in this arena that nobody's come up with yet, and there seems to be a lot of this. I'm kind of being, trying to make sort of a joke about it.
Yeah.
Is we haven't understood any of this kind of behavior. None of it's made sense. And when you hear our experiences, I think you'll find it just as bizarre as we do. Because on that one occasion that book was written about specifically, or abducted in the French Quarter, it wasn't just Chad and Alta who've been married for now 29 years, together 30. There was another woman involved in that experience. And that woman is not family. She was not family. She was my manager in the shop I worked in and happened to be a friend. But she's not family. She's not blood. She got no dog in this or bone in this, however you say all those things. She there were 3 of us that this happened to that night. 3 of us.
Yes.
And it's mind-blowing to me. Again, so with that all said to you, if you'd like, before the night is over, we can get into it. I wanted to pass this back off to Chad because I've given you my bizarre beginnings.
Oh, absolutely.
Of all of this mystery. I thought it'd be interesting for you all to hear maybe Chad's.
Yeah, mine's kind of short and sweet. It's not as
hallelujah.
But my first kind of weird experience. This would have been. I would have been in about 7 years old. Maybe between 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm 53 now, so this would have
70.
Yeah, mid-70s or early 70s.
Early 70s.
My dad was a rice farmer in Arkansas. My dad, my grandfather, and my uncle.
Okay.
Actually, they were sharecroppers back in the day, and then they finally, started having their own land. But my dad and my mom had just moved this house from one point of the rural community over to another, and he just built this house, kind of fixed it up, and then they had a shop that was probably about 4 acres away, maybe. Mm-hmm. There was like a soybean field in between the shop where they kept the tractors and the combines and all that kind of stuff in between our house. So I remember my dad, my grandfather, and my uncle going out, and there's these perfect circles. There's 3 of them. They're probably about 15 foot around.
Yeah.
And they're not crop circles. They're like burnt circles.
Burnt.
Oh, wow.
Burnt. They were like burnt into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It killed the crops. It killed,
mm-hmm.
And
they were
like
perfect.
Burnt. And there was like 3 right in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my first weird experience.
They had no understanding. Had never experienced anything like that before.
I mean, they have,
so that,
my grandpa.
That burnt, was it like a fire burnt, high heat burnt, or like maybe a radiation burn?
Yeah, it was like perfect round circles. I mean, everything was charred.
Oh, wow.
Ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a soybean field at the time. And it was just like the soybeans and everything, the plants were burnt. I mean, you could still kind of see the plants.
Yeah.
Charred.
But they're like burnt and charred.
Whoa.
So, and again, in a perfect line.
And not that I don't believe every word out of Chad, but just for y'all's benefit, I just talked to his mama just the other day about this subject. And she absolutely remembers this. She remembers this. Yeah. And this is not a subject she's interested in.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom's, church going,
She just has no interest in any of this, but she confirmed. She absolutely confirmed his memory is accurate.
Wow.
So, that was kind of my first kind of weird experience. My dad then divorced my mom, or, my mom and dad split. But then my dad remarried my second stepmom, or my stepmom.
His second wife. He's on his third now.
He's on his third wife now.
Third time's a charm.
You know that's right.
Or 3 strikes and you're out. Whichever one.
Okay. No comment.
Yeah.
So his second wife, she's
my age.
She's
the last one. His latest. She and I are the same age. His stepmama and his wife.
Get it, boy.
Hell yeah.
As bizarre as all the rest of it.
Give him a high five the next time I see you.
That's right.
My dad's second wife, she they move out to Colorado, and I never visited this place and everything because Dad was in transition and that was his hippie days and he had the long hair and it was the 70s. So he's out there and we finally get reunited, and I hear this story about when they're in Colorado and they go out for the night Now they're only gone for like 3 or 4 hours, but when they come home, their whole house is rearranged.
Whoa.
Now they were with friends, so it wouldn't be like a prank where, you know, the friends come in and like move your furniture around. They come home from, you know, visiting with their friends, and their whole house is just, you know, the furniture is moved around. It's rearranged. It's not disassembled or anything like that. It's just rearranged.
So not just the living room, but like other rooms too?
Yeah, the whole house.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's
Everything's what I'm thinking of, and this is just me like watching too many movies, but like what if you entered like a different reality time slip that's so similar to what timeline you were on, but it was just like subtly different?
I've done that.
Right.
I've done that, so we know exactly what you're saying.
I know exactly
Hell
what you're saying. So that's a good one. I've never thought about
but
that.
I have done that.
I thought it was kind of like ghost or poltergeist kind of activity, but maybe he did slip into a different.
And you know what's interesting is about
maybe he did do a time slip or a
stepmother he's talking about.
Yeah.
When they're together, they moved to Texas. They lived in the Houston area.
Well,
you
was
said Colorado.
when they were
I was
in
just
Colorado.
mentioning what we discovered recently.
Oh yeah.
We were doing an interview with somebody last year or whatever in the last year or so, and dude, he contacts us while he's editing that interview, and he contacts us to let us know there's somebody else talking.
What?
In that interview, it's not Chad, not Alta, and not him. And he's in that room by himself. So he sent us the clip that he discovered while he's editing that interview. When Chad's talking about that house, he describes the house because Chad's dad was a bit moneyed back in the day and still kind of is. And they had a big house. And Chad's trying to describe this to the host, that they're in a big house. And you hear a man very distinctly repeat Chad's identical words. Big house. And what the hey? What the hey?
Either he's repeating or you're hearing him influence what you're saying, and the frequencies get mixed up, and there's the delay in there. I don't know. I'm just thinking of
and I will mention that voice was a very distinct voice that was none of ours.
Yeah.
And this was recorded like you're doing the show tonight with us, or was this?
And if you go back and if you're editing, because I don't understand all that language,
podcast.
If I go back and I edit and I hear another voice, like you guys, I will call you at 3 a.m. to chew your ass out because I'm.
And you have every right.
I'm kidding, y'all, but
every right. Please do. But I mean, literally, dude was freaking because it is. I guess they call that. I don't know all this stupid language. This Class A kind of whatever they claim these messages are, that these ghosty busters and they're out there in their equipment. I'm trying to not sound facetious or put anybody down. I'm into all of it.
Yeah.
I'm not into any of it. And yet that's exactly what came across in that interview. And when he sent it to us, it's mind blowing. I'll send it to you if you're interested in hearing
my gosh.
it.
Absolutely.
Please do.
We'd love to hear that.
When we have visuals or audio that is connected to a particular podcast, we haven't put Michael Schratz up because it's so in depth and there's so much to do. And he most of the visuals we showed were in his books. We didn't really want to do that. But we like to do a blog post on our website with if there's anything that you'd like to send us, we'd love to add it to a blog post.
Absolutely. Oh, sure. We'll we don't have a lot, but we got that.
That's awesome.
And
yeah, that'd be great.
It's about this, house Chad's describing to you all about, rearranged. This thing was rearranged, sort of. I mean, again, it's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing, because Chad's describing something that he understands happened to them 30 years ago, or whatever the case may be, 35 years ago. And yet, while he's talking about that house just last year in this interview, that male voice is repeating his words.
Weird. Did you hear that?
Yeah, who opened the door?
I don't know. It's like a laser gun in the background.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Dang.
Wow.
So
That's
so
incredible.
those are kind of his like early stories. He didn't have a lot. Pretty interesting to me and
Absolutely.
strange and
Yeah.
Yes.
So and then, we move in. We moved to Texas. Now we don't have. I don't have a lot of experiences to that place in Texas, but my little brother, with the same mom, first mom.
your only blood brother.
Yeah, my only
Right.
blood
sibling.
Yeah. He says that he's in the house one day.
He's 5 years younger than Chad.
Yeah, he's 5
Yeah.
years younger than I am. And I guess he was probably about
Teenager.
14, 15, years old. He said he comes home and he's all by himself. Dad's gone to work and stepmom's gone. But anyway, he's there by himself. And this is where, the big house was. And he said, all of a sudden, all the doorknobs, all the windows, all the doors just start rattling. Just rattling. The house isn't moving. The walls aren't vibrating, just the windows and the doors.
Whoa.
So, I'm sorry.
He says he leaves the house. He goes, sits on the curb, and waits for my dad and my stepmom to get home.
I ain't going
And
back.
he's not going back into the house.
No, I ain't going back. Tell him
So-
about the doll.
Can I ask a quick question really quick, Chad?
Yeah.
So, well, I wanted. I'll wait. I'll wait to ask the other question. But okay. So first off, this house you're speaking of right now is in Houston, correct?
Right. Okay.
Houston,
so
Texas?
The house that got redecorated, I guess, was in Colorado.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right.
And then
That's
the
one that-
the
yeah,
rattle.
that was in Colorado, and I never went there. But then they moved to this house, and my brothers and I are there, and because Dad kind of disappeared for a little bit, I mean, he did his, it was the 70s,
yeah, for sure.
You got to follow the dead around, like the Grateful Dead. I mean, that's what people did in the 70s.
Right. He lived in a van down by the river.
Yes. Oh God, yes.
Yes. But that was in Houston. I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm a terrible listener. But you said the
rattling of
rattling house
yeah.
that was in Houston.
Houston,
Can
yeah.
I ask what
That
part
was
of
in
Houston?
Yeah, well, it was actually in LaPorte.
suburb of
it was LaPorte,
Okay.
Okay.
which
All
is right outside.
Oh, you are
right on the
in
other side
Austin, aren't
We're
you?
in
Right
Austin.
on-
Yeah. Well, I've got some family. For,
Pasadena.
okay.
Yeah, there's Pasadena and then LaPorte.
Okay.
Yep.
I was curious because I've got some family that live close to Houston, and had it been that town, it would have been pretty synchronicitous if it was.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
was LaPorte.
yikes.
This was like when the oil boom was going.
Oh yeah.
Dad was a diesel engine. I mean, we worked on Red Adair's. They did work on the Exxon Valdez.
Yep.
This was way, back in the oil boom and kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, this was the rattle shaking with my
Tell him
with
about
my
the
little
doll.
brother. So okay, well, all right. So
I just love this doll.
I'll
story.
move the story a little earlier with my brother, since we're just talking about my brother. This was probably 10, 12 years ago. My brother's got 2 girls and 2 boys, young. The little girls are still playing with Barbie dolls. They had this little doll that would talk. and it just drove him nuts. Him and his wife.
Yeah.
So they decide, we'll just take the batteries out, and put it away. Well, this dog kept talking.
Was it a Furby?
No. It was like a baby dog. Kind of,
okay.
Oh, it's way more creepy.
This is way
Mommy, daddy.
Oh, hell no.
Oh.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, hell no.
Yeah,
They took the batteries out and it's still mommy, daddy.
Nope.
This is kind of like yeah. So they decide to take the batteries out. Well, it kept talking. So finally, he goes, the kids go to bed. He goes, I'm putting this in the garbage can. The garbage man's coming tomorrow.
Biatch doll is gone.
Or a day or two.
That's what he said.
This doll is going in the garbage.
Uh-huh.
So they kept hearing it coming out of the garbage can,
Talking!
Like, keep talking, mommy, daddy, or something, it was
close
like
enough.
One of those kind of, and they like watched it go into the garbage can and still keep talking.
And
oh
still
my gosh.
So we have no idea where that ghosty doll ended up.
What was it saying? Like, it stinks in here. Like,
it did. But with that said, this whole purpose of kind of this family, the familiar part of this story on Chad's side, this brother ain't interested in none of this stuff. None of this stuff. But he just called us.
All right. Since we're still
a few
talking
months
about
ago,
my
we'll just finish his story. A couple months he contacted us.
He calls us, and he's like out in the Southwest, maybe Colorado or something.
We don't know where he was
I don't know.
exactly. He's driving with his wife on the highway. And his daylight.
He dismantles locomotives. So he goes out and he goes around and, he takes apart locomotives. So he said that they're driving down the road.
Just him and his wife.
Mm-hmm. They've got the moon roof open or whatever it is, sunroof, moon roof, whatever. They got it open. And they look up and they see this FedEx airplane. One of those big...
Yeah.
FedEx airplanes?
Yeah, Tom Hanks and Castaway.
That's a mix.
Yeah, right. So they said they look up and they're like, they see it they see it
ahead of them.
They're driving
on the highway,
but it's staying in the same place.
It's not moving.
They said it stayed in the same place. They kept driving. Mm-hmm. They drive up under it. Mm-hmm. This happened to them 3 times
in a row.
3 within
different,
like 2 hours. Mm-hmm. It was FedEx. Mm-hmm. It was a FedEx plane.
Mm-hmm. 3 times.
The last time they saw it, he actually pulled over.
Finally,
they said, "This is just." I mean, because you would think
they're sober, no alcohol, no drugs.
They don't do drugs. They don't do alcohol.
Right.
They don't drink.
They don't, straight up sober.
They're straight up. And they said, if a plane's coming towards you and you're driving.
Yeah, there's a math question in there. I'm having flashbacks.
Yeah. They said they pulled. Finally, the 3rd time, they pulled over and just kind of like looked at it. Mm-hmm. Like,
they're calling us when this is happening.
They're calling us because
we're the freaks of the family. And now they're having this happen. Like, now they're graduated.
Can you explain this to me? I'm like, wow. Yeah. I wish I could see that.
Yeah.
No explanation, man.
Yeah, no we can't help you with this one.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird.
The whole point of this, the moral of this is Chad's family are experiencers. They are experiencers. We'll get to his dad's stuff later with UFOs, his stepmother, the latest one that's my age, UFO stuff. They've encountered I told you I babied up the language, so instead of calling him Sasquatch, I call him Sasquatchy.
Oh, I cannot wait for that story. I know it's like way further down the line, but I mean,
it's a coming because it's a good one.
That's awesome.
I know a lot of our listeners are really like they love Sasquatch stories. So I love that they're like we've started with like one of my favorite topics, which is like the MK Ultra stuff. Like that's some deep shit that we Fuck, man, that's so cool. And now we're getting into like family history and lineage. I mean, you guys are kind of like covering a lot of bases. And then I just imagine like people listening, you're like, and they got a Sasquatch story? These guys are the luckiest people.
Yeah, and Sasquatchy to boot.
Oh, man.
Both of us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I mean, separate experiences.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much kind of my family history.
crazy. Well, not even, but you're getting to it.
A little bit of
when
it.
it comes to the other subjects.
So if you want to go into our experiences when
Or
we
where would
got
you like
together,
to go? Where?
Yeah,
where would y'all
let's
go
talk.
next?
Let's talk about Hammond, Louisiana, the first mass sighting. Maybe go into that because I feel like in y'all story that's around the same time y'all met, or am I wrong on that? Or sorry, I'm just reading through the orb abducted in French Quarter. Kind of, I'm kind of bad at reading and talking at the same time. But
Well, so if you like, Chad keeps pointing at me to kind of jump that part of the story off. If
We
you're
met.
interested, we start before the Hammond experience.
Let's
the
do
Chad
it.
story starts in 1990. Hammond is in 95.
let's start at 1990.
Let's do 1990.
Boom.
Yep.
So keep in mind, I'm 10 years older than Chad. I'm 33 at the time. I've never been married and no kids, and I'm not interested in any of it because I don't even understand me.
You're a bachelorette.
Kids poop a lot.
Yeah.
So it happens to be Valentine's Day. Well, that's a day I hated. And
Me too.
Right. And I started a new job that I hated. It was medical tech. It was medical equipment. Now that's hysterical because I don't even know how to turn a computer on. I used to work in the medical field hands-on. I worked in physical therapy and radiology and all these other areas of life prior.
Oh, cool.
Then all of a sudden, I'm taking a new direction and I'm going to sell medical equipment. No. Well, my first day is, or my second or third day, whatever, I was there about that long, is in this medical equipment place. So I just shared with you my age. They used to call me pretty. So this dude I'm working, he's married, he's got a new baby, and he don't understand why I'm alone. He cannot believe that I think his name David. He can't believe that I don't have a date on Valentine's Day. So he's not accepting. I'm cool. I'm great. Everything's fine. No, he's not going to have it. He says, we're going to get you a date. I'm like, well, I'm not asking. I don't think I'm interested. Well, you don't care. Next thing I know, he's on the telephone. He's talking to somebody, and I hear me being described. Now, I'm standing outside his office, and I'm thinking, damn, I'd date me.
I sound good.
Dang, right, I sound
Yes.
good. So I'm like, he's now got my attention. Well, the next thing I hear, that was a short conversation because whoever he's talking to sounds like he's interested, but he's got to work that night, so he can't make
It's
the date.
Valentine's. I worked at like the local oyster bar.
Who said we were talking about you?
Hey, it fits in with the story, oysters, aphrodisiac,
Oysters.
Valentine's Day.
Well, we're going to get into that oyster stuff here in a second.
All right.
So just leading you into the buildup on this story. So now I'm real not happy. Not only do I not want a blind date, I can't get one. And I'm just not a happy girl. So that day went bad and just went downhill. I get off work at 5-ish, whatever. I'm in suit like back in the day and high heels and all that junk. I hate those clothes. So first thing I want to do is go home, get out of those clothes. I happened to be staying with my mom at the time. That was feeling pretty pathetic also. And I didn't want to be with my mom either. And it was just convenient and what have you. So I decided, well, I don't want to hang with my mom for Valentine's Day that night. She's very cool, but I just didn't want to. And so I get home and I did something extremely out of character, which is why I'm giving you all these details. Extremely out of character for me. Two things. One is to drink and drive. Now, I'm no prude and I ain't no angel, but I'm smart. And I just didn't drink and drive. I like riding. I like limousine. I like being limoed, or I mean
Yeah.
that. It doesn't have to be a limo, but I want somebody else driving.
I don't think she's driven
I've
in
always hated,
20 years.
yeah, I've always hated driving. Always
You are
hated.
Miss Daisy.
That's right. So you started
Yes.
to picture Chad. You started to see Chad. So, so I do this all of this is so out of character, which is why I'm pointing this out. I go home, I get out of my suit and high heels, I put on my jeans and my tennies and my t-shirt, and I'm going to go somewhere and have a drink. That's the other thing, very out of character. I never went anywhere alone, not ever, ever. And I'm extremely social. Well, not on this day. On this day, I'm in a foul mood. My whatever is sinking deeply, and I'm going to do a couple things I don't do. So once I get in my car to go off on my little adventure, I'm now in my car driving saying, what the hell am I doing? I'm out of state for several years. I was living in California. I'd come back to Arkansas. My mother had moved. I didn't know her neighborhood at all. I didn't even know where I was in terms of, all the ins and outs. My mom was kind of a big deal. She was sort of a big fish in a little pond in Little Rock, Arkansas at the time. So I'm feeling fairly safe. Thinking, people think of my mama as like a big mama bear, and I look identical to her. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be okay. Just kind of, impressing myself with I'm okay. But once I got in the car, I had no idea where I was, and I had no idea where to go. Next thing I know, conveniently, take note of that, all convenient. There's a little pub, not far from where my mama stayed. And I mean, it looked like something you'd see in Ireland or Scotland.
Nice.
Or something.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's tiny. All it was missing was a thatched roof. And I'm thinking, well, this is close and it looks homey. And how dangerous can it be? I pull in. Now, I got off work at 5-ish. This is somewhere 6-ish. Light is still out. It's still daylight. So I could see everything around me. I pull into this empty little tiny parking lot to go into this tiny pub. I walk inside. Well, no surprise. There's not a soul in there. There's nobody in there. This thing is big enough to hold a pool table, a couple, I think, funky wood tables and chairs, and an old wood bar.
That sounds like my favorite bar. Like,
Yeah.
I love that.
I love those hole in the wall places. Yes.
It's us. That is truly us. So that's what I'm experiencing as I'm walking in. Now I'm like, there's nobody here. There's nothing here. What are you doing, Alta? What are you doing?
But
I'm having this-
something drew you there. Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, the story gets much better. I'll speed it up.
No. just
Around
go
the corner. Sorry?
Just go into deeper.
Yeah. So around the corner comes this little round, pudgy, rosy-cheeked, white-haired grandma looking like something you'd see in Germany or, like I said, Scotland or
Yeah.
some pub. A grandma. That's what I needed. I needed a grandma figure to
Oh,
feel
yeah.
safe. Yeah. So she comes around the corner, and I ordered a beer. It was on tap. So she gets that poured. That's my memory. And the next thing I know, the door opens and these two men walked in. Now, trying to paint that picture for you. One has got black hair and one is blonde. They are both beyond beautiful. They're beyond. They're beyond. They're both extremely well dressed. Casual, but expensive. One's got on the blonde has a leather bomber jacket on. And well dressed. And black haired dude, he's well dressed. But again, casual. And expensive casual. That's the only way I know how to describe it. And they were gorgeous. Did I mention gorgeous? They were gorgeous.
I love it. Me and Joe are thinking like you're describing us, right?
Describing us. Blonde,
Well, I
brown
wanted
hair,
to make sure
gorgeous.
you understood I was painting a picture of you both.
Yeah.
Is what walked into that. So as I take note of this, because there's nobody else there and we're almost on top of each other, smiled at me, and I remember thinking, okay, this is bizarre. I don't even know where the hell I am, and who are they, and what are they doing here?
Yeah.
It's all through my mind instantly. So I do remember when the door opened, it sounds like a creepy movie, but I swear I saw light. Now it's daylight now, but it's like that light is even bigger. Coming. And you hear the hearkening of the angels, right? So as they walk, well, what's even more interesting to me is I had no interest in them at all, not at all. Now I'm single, and very single, and they are. Did I mention gorgeous? And I had no interest. I was just puzzled. I felt puzzled. And so I think one of them must have asked me if I wanted to play pool. Yeah, okay. Before we even get into that pool game, the next thing I know is one of them, I don't remember which, says to me, is there anything else? Basically, I'm paraphrasing this part of it. Anything else happening in this city more lively?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, you don't belong here either. You don't know where you are either, because you're asking me.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm taking notes of all of this in my head. Well, I make it real clear, I think. I have no idea. I'm kind of new back in this city. But the only place that I could think of that I thought and felt like I was going to be safe, as crazy as that sounds, is a huge sports bar in the middle of the city. Now, we're talking Little Rock, Arkansas. We're talking Clinton country. So this was in 1990. This is definitely Clinton country.
Clinton country.
And my mother was affiliated with Bill Clinton. So again, I felt more than protected. The only thing that came to mind was the sports bar. I had never been there. I'd never been there. But that's the place that I chose. I have no memory of leaving that pub and getting to that second location. There's no memory. Now, I don't even remember drinking that beer. Now, I'm just here to tell you, I can drink.
Hell yeah.
I just
we just moved from the French Quarter, so
oh yeah, well there you go. You gotta. There's like you have to pass a test before you can actually buy there, right? Or rent. You have to drink a couple pints and be able to walk straight, right?
Exactly. And so again, the whole point is I don't remember drinking that beer, and yet my lights go out between point A and point B. My lights come back on when we get to point B, and we're now at that sports bar. Apparently, I drove us, but I have no memory of any of that.
Oh, you're a good driver.
Yeah.
Right. No memory of that. And so we get there, and again, I still have no interest in them. I remember I got a girlfriend that lives up the street that I used to work in radiology with. She's same age as I am. She's never been married, and she's single. So I'm like, I'm going to call her. So I call her. Well, I remember her being there at that sports bar before we hung that phone up when I mentioned how gorgeous these guys
was
were.
Before.
Wow.
Before.
She was there. This was way before cell phones.
This was a landline.
Yeah.
This is a landline.
Yeah, landline. Well, she's there like
rotary dialed.
Totally. And again, the bizarre behavior. As I said to you, I'm very social, but not that night. My memory is when she got there, it's almost like I handed them off to her. And I said to myself internally, I don't want to be around any of them. And I went to the other side of the bar. I went up to the bar where the bar actually was, away from the tables and all the people and whatever. And I sat up at that bar all by myself in the darkest of moods. My mood was so dark and it was sinking. And the owner came over and spoke to me, and I told him he didn't know me, but as soon as I told him I was Pam's daughter, plus I looked just like her, he knew who I was. So I remember we were trying to have some kind of conversation, but I can barely remember it because I was sinking, deep sinking. I'd left my friend with these men, whatever they were, on the other side of the bar. That's not me. That is not me.
Yeah.
So before midnight on Valentine's Day, take note of that, All of a sudden, I'm at that bar by myself looking down at the floor, and I see some funky tennis shoes all of a sudden standing next to me. Now, this voice comes out of those shoes, not literally the shoes, but the body attached to them. And this voice was so sweet, and it was so nice and polite sounding that voice asked me if I wanted to go play pinball.
So
I hate pinball. I hate it.
So
Was it Chad? Was it you?
So again, this was the same day that I got a call from this David guy. And he goes, man, I got this girl I want you to meet, man.
Right.
Let's go have, let's go do
This
the
is
double
that story
date
where
tonight.
he couldn't make the date.
This is, and I'm like, well, I can't, man. I work at the oyster bar.
I really want to, but I can't.
I got this. He goes, just call in sick. I'm like, man, it's Valentine's Day at an oyster bar. You gotta call in sick.
Dude, Valentine's Day at an oyster bar.
I'm like, they would kick my butt tomorrow. I'm like, no, I can't, man. I said, I'm interested. I want to meet this person, but yeah. Anyway, so the oyster bar I worked at, the
Owner
owner,
is a woman.
she only hired men.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Smart.
the opposite of Hooters.
Yeah.
Called tutors.
Tutors.
Yeah,
I love it.
because it was like. She
Mhm.
goes, I mean, and she had anywhere from like Dr. Gonnabees to just like
To Bill
heads,
Clinton. All the
And,
politicians.
we were right down the
It was
street.
a dive that they all hung
Yeah,
out
it was
in.
a dive right around the corner
That's
from
right.
not from the White House, but from
Governors,
the
yeah.
governors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dive that all of these
We
people hung
would have
at.
politicians to, the local drunk come in there. It was a great place.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I go in, I do my shift, and none of us had dates, after we got off work. So we're like, okay. And everybody's like, well, let's go play some darts. We'll go over to this place. I'm like, well, I've never been there. There's only a couple of blocks from my house. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, and when I get there, now I'm with like at least 8 of my buddies.
Mhm.
At least 8 of my
Mhm.
buddies, that had worked that night. And they go and start playing darts. Well, I'm like, I don't want to play darts. I'm going to go over here and play pinball. And I think I went over there and played pinball. And then I saw this young lady sitting at the
That's
bar.
what you call her?
I so in love with you.
Man, he's so smooth.
So I go over to her
With his
and I'm
funky
like,
oyster
and again,
tennis shoes
I'm
on.
smelling like
He's still in
fish.
his right.
I'm smelling
That's
like
the first thing girls look at is your shoes, bro. That's the
That's right.
I've got
Especially when they're
you know,
pissed.
tennis shoes on that probably has batter on the tennis shoes deep fryer.
So I hear this. Do you want to play
Do you want
pinball?
to play pinball?
And I start from his feet with my head, and I
So-
start up his legs, and I'm about ready to let him have it.
yeah, she's like, I hate pinball.
Right. I'm like just saying all this nastiness, and then I get to his face, and here's his beautiful blue eyes,
so
his beautiful smile.
so she goes, oh, okay, well, I'll come play pinball with you. I hate pinball, but
I hate pinball.
I'll come play
But let's
pinball
do
with
it.
you.
Uh-huh.
And so we go over there, and I'll never forget. No, I always want to get one of these. When I hit that lottery, I'll have one. But it was an Elvira pinball machine.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elvira.
I just watched it and watched one of her movies the other day.
Absolutely.
And you would hit one thing, and it'd go, don't touch me there.
Yeah.
the Addams
So-
Family.
No, Elvira. You know who
Elvira.
Elvira is, dude.
Okay.
Ben's pop culture knowledge is a little weird.
Mistress of the Dark. Mistress of the Dark.
Yeah, dude. She's she's known for her great acting skills.
Yeah, that's
And,
it.
and big
Boobs,
bosom.
I mean babs.
Yeah. Dude, okay, I just want to say really quick, it's not like anything profound, but first off, Chad, I need to see a picture of you because you sound gorgeous, first off. And second of all, y'all just completely like Quentin Tarantino this whole story on us. Like, that was awesome.
I have a movie playing in my head, and it's so vivid. I
love that.
So
Keep
we
that movie
played
going.
this first game
Right.
of pinball.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, well, and I'm like, you want to play another game? She goes, yeah. By the way, what's your name?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Chad. She goes, Chad? She goes, do you know a guy named David? I'm like, yeah. Did he call you today? Yeah. Did he want to set you up with a person named Alta? I said, yeah. I'm Alta.
That's hilarious.
Dude.
That's dope.
It was like
We were a
double
blind date
synchronicity.
that didn't
I mean,
happen.
So-
it was like it's
It
beyond
happened.
synchronicity.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I
I-
used
Him
the
to call-
word arranged.
Can I say that I might be totally subliminally guided in the way that I kind of know the outline of your story, like not really at all, but you have said the word arranged, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking those two angelic gentlemen might have been how do you say Men in Black, or maybe some kind of
Right.
some time alterers trying to set the timeline correct. Like, hey, she's supposed to meet Chad tonight. We got to go in. Let's go.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
the story gets better. Give him
and-
one more minute
and
here.
Wow.
For David, my buddy that I had worked with since I was like a teenager in the restaurant bar business, and then for him to call me
Well, we can do all of the
4 or 5
equations and the
years
mathematics
later,
of it. But we'll
and
speed this up
so,
a little bit.
anyway,
So we
speeding
leave
this up,
there and
so
we go to
Alta ends up. I asked her. I was living with Mom too at the time,
have
and
mom living.
but
But he was
Mom-
23 at the time.
Yeah,
he
I
had a
was
good
23.
excuse.
Moms are
Yeah.
dope.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but mom was pretty much living with her boyfriend, so I pretty much had the house to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It was.
So we ended up going to the house. I mean, there was no hanky panky, no nothing. We set up all night long.
Like college,
I mean,
college dorm
yeah, I
or
had
high
like
school,
this-
having a party.
I had like this little room with like
We ate, drank, we
aquariums.
smoked, we had the
and,
best
you know,
time.
we
we were
ate,
so
drank, and
happy
smoke and be merry and
Yeah.
kind of thing.
all night long.
My mom comes in about 4 or 5 o'clock from her boyfriend's house to get ready
In the
for
morning
work.
because she got to change clothes. to
Yeah,
work.
she's got to get ready for work
Mhm.
because that's where her makeup and her clothes are, right?
Mhm.
So she comes in, and I'm like, Mom, this is Alta. Alta, this is my mom, Janice.
And I'm
you
looking
know.
for the exit door because
Yeah.
I have not dealt with a mother
Right,
in
right.
1,000 years, right? So I'm
Right.
trying to figure out how
She's
to get out.
33,
Yeah.
coming home to,
Mom. Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So we meet
So-
briefly.
I'm like, Mom, this is Alta.
Mhm.
Alta, this is Mom, whatever. And, Alta and I kind of sit there and, still talking and stuff.
Mom goes off into the
Mom
bathroom
goes
to do
off
her
into
business.
the bathroom to, start gets ready. And she goes, Chad, can you come here for a second?
Now I really am trying to find the exit
I'm like-
door.
I'm like, yeah. So I come in. She goes, does that name Alta ring a bell to you? Does that remind you of anything? I'm like, no. She goes, well, your grandfather, my dad, he always went by George. But do you know that Alta is his first name?
Alta is his grandfather's first name.
My grandfather and my wife spelled the same,
Mhm.
Alta. And she goes, that was your grandfather's name.
So go
Whoa.
one step further. My mother's maiden name
Is-
and his grandfather's name are identical.
My mom's maiden
so
name.
My
and
first and last name are identical
Alta
to
Duncan.
his grandfather.
My grandfather's name was Alta Duncan.
Wow.
I mean, if
I'm a Duncan. My mother was a Duncan.
Yeah, her mom's maiden name is Duncan. So
That's a synchronicity if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
That's pretty insane, you guys. So wow, so you guys meet in these crazy circumstances, and I mean, do you guys talk about experiences at all? Do you guys wait a little while, or is that like?
No,
not even.
Not
so
even.
I go in and I tell Alta, this Alta,
this Alta,
yes, not my grandfather, but I tell Alta this. And she goes, "Oh, wow." So, and I think we hung together.
Well, I'll just
for
pick
like
that up real quick so we can move along.
Hours.
He told me that, and I'm telling you because you've heard a lot of my history that a lot of people don't know. It mortified me. It terrified me, and it scared me to death internally. Because right then and there, I absolutely knew for a fact something else is in control of my life, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And so I'm carrying on with Chad like, oh, well, that's crazy. And, oh, that's interesting and whatever. Chad's making plans because he's got to go to work that day that we're going to see each other very soon. We're going to have a date like very soon. That told me how interested he was. I know how badly I wanted to. But right then and there internally, and he had no idea, I'm saying never again. I will never see him again, not ever again. And I made sure of that. And for 3 months, Chad couldn't find me. I went poof. He could not find me.
I called her mom, or I called over to her house like the next day or so. And her mom was very stern and said,
"Whoa,
she's not here." And I'm
Damn.
like, "Oh."
Damn. So you got your name crossed out of the little black book, and I mean, I'm just thinking of the time period. Like, hey, if so and so calls a landline, I'm not here. That's as easy as possible, right? It's a lot easier to get a hold of people nowadays. I don't know if there was star 69, but so anyway, so you're not able to get a hold of it. You're trying to contact Alta and nothing. So what's going through your mind? Is it because, and I'm speaking to Alta, just a question, like, is it because you've got these like feelings like, hey, this is a red flag because of my past experiences, and I don't want anything to do with this idea of like, this was a setup, or had you gotten to that point at all?
Bingo.
Okay.
You're doing good tonight, dude.
I think I'm doing pretty good.
You're killing it.
So
Well, y'all are so descriptive. Y'all are such great storytellers. Like, I love it.
Well, thanks. I mean, as long as we're not boring, because that is the most important part.
No, not at all.
Oh no, this is I'm having a blast right now. This is awesome.
No boredom in this story.
Yeah, y'all are very. I could see it, every little detail. It's great.
So, as I said, bingo to you, sir. Yes. I mean, it was just absolutely overwhelming. It was too overwhelming. And so I got gone and I got disappeared. I was that gone girl for 3 months. And then all of a sudden, I'll pick it back up real quick again, and then Chad again will come back in. My point of this is 3 months later, it was like something, I'm not hearing voices, thank God. Or gods, I'm getting a signal that I have to find Chad. I have to find him. I have to find him. Now that's creepy and that's bizarre, and I didn't understand that at all either, because that's not my behavior. Once I'm gone, I'm gone. That's why I stayed single all my life. And so I get with my girlfriend, that chick that I told you all about, that I called, that came and met my whoever they were.
Yeah.
Right. I call her, or I'm with her, and
it was Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Exactly. Oh, I like it. Yeah, I do like it. I'm just very specific to her that I've got to find Chad. Well, she's on board. We're going to find Chad.
She used to hang out at the Oyster Bar. So we were kind of mutual friends with her.
She knew Chad separately from me, which is some more of that. Others might call it coincidence. I know better. I don't believe those things really exist. Synchronicities, okay, whatever the language is.
Everything happens
Chad,
for a reason.
always, they say. She knew Chad prior separately from me and then knew me. And so we're this little strange triangle that's reconnecting again, kind of like his Grampy and I've got the same first and last name.
Yeah.
And so, right. So she's on board. We're going to find Chad. Well, we found Chad all right. Chad, now we're in Little Rock, Arkansas. We find Chad is in Louisiana. He has left the state, and his dad has moved with one of those wives, the last wife, this one that he's got now. I had to stop and think. Wife 3. They moved to Louisiana. They're in that sort of Hammondy area, actually close to it, just geographically. So Chad has gone there to go hang with them and work there for a while. And who knows what all was going on with Chad. He was just needing to do whatever Chad needed to do. I let him speak for himself as to why he went if he needs to or whatever. But the reality is she and I found him, my friend with me. I made a phone call. I was given a phone number. I called that number, and I'll be dang, Chad answered the phone. It was like,
wow.
Oh, this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I called.
He's at his dad's house,
phone.
and he answered his dad's phone. Which he's never done before or since. But he happened to be right there, and he answered that phone. And now we're having this conversation. I'll speed that story up. I swear to him on anything I know how to swear on that I will. He's coming back within 24 hours. He's just been in a bad car accident with his aunt and uncle. It's bad, but it's not crucial.
Right.
He's been beat up and banged up pretty good and so on and so forth. He's had enough of Louisiana. He's coming back to Little Rock. Right? So
I got to get back to the Oyster Bar. I got work to do.
okay, so he's coming back to the Oyster Bar. So I tell him, I'll be here. You're coming back tomorrow. I swear on everything I know how to swear, whatever, I'll be here. I promise you, I'll be here. Now, as soon as we hang up the phone, because I finally got him convinced, because I'm convinced, we're about to be reunited. Next thing I know, there is invitation. I got a guy friend, nothing sexual, a guy friend, and he asked me if I wanted to go motorcycling. Well, I love bikes back in the day, so yeah, buddy,
Nice.
I'm ready to do that. And so he's going to come by my friend's house, pick me up. We're going to go biking. We're just going to go spend the day biking. So we get on that bike. He forced me to put a helmet on. I don't like helmets, don't like nothing about them. But he says you will wear a helmet. It's the law or whatever it was. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to all that. What's that?
It's Arkansas. There's that helmet law.
I guess so. So not only do I have to put a helmet on, but this helmet's got a face shield. So it's like I am buckled into this
Whoa.
over my head.
There's nothing
So
Easy
that-
Rider about that.
Don't sneeze.
Takes completely away from the story, right? So, but again, very effective in this story. A little bit down the line here. So we take off and we head for the park, the river park. The Little Rock has a river that runs
Arkansas
through
River.
it. The Arkansas River that divides Little Rock and North Little Rock. That's how that's all set up. It's got a beautiful parkway all along it, and so on and so forth. That's where we're going to go hang. It's a beautiful day. Wouldn't you know, it's just a perfect day. So we get down to this river. Now, there's a whole lot more to this story than I think you all have time for, but I'll speed the story up. Chad wants to say, he wants me to tell you this part of the story.
Oh, go for it.
So-
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, let's back up a few months. Let's go back to Easter. I don't remember what the month Easter is. It's like recent, whatever. Easter Sunday, this guy friend invited me to join him and his adult sister and their children for an Easter egg hunt at that park, River Park. This is months prior to this experience I'm talking about with Chad and I. I agree to that. I go and spend, now Chad's not in the story in any way in this part of the story. we have a great little Easter Sunday out there with the kids and Easter egg hunting and so on and so forth. And that little family gets themselves all packed up and they got to go home. My friend and I, his name was Les. I'm getting ready to, pack up and join him, and he's going to take me home. Well, as we get into the parking lot, it's got a big parking lot. There's I guess he's a man. I'm not sure about anything anymore. There's what appears to be a man across that parking lot who is a little guy. He's like Uncle Shorty little.
Wow.
He's a little guy. He's a little guy, but he's more Manson, if you can get that picture in your mind.
Huh. So like a tiny Charles Manson?
Oh.
Thank you.
Wow.
And he's got a cowboy hat on. Now, I'm dying inside because I'm from the West, and I'm just thinking, oh, this is crazy. I got a little miniature cowboy out here.
Cowboy? I love that.
Kind of Manson-y sort of appearance from a distance.
I'm laughing so hard because I love like wordplay like that. Like
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's like Batman, Superman, cowboy. I fucking love that.
I call Chad spinach, what is that? He makes a spinach artichoke dip that's to die for. I call it spinach. One night I was too happy in too much whatever I was drinking, and that word came out, spinach. So yeah,
there you go.
I changed it, spinach dip.
I love that.
So I change language constantly just to stay in the sand. So I got this boy across the parking lot that's looking like he's a middle-aged cowboy. He ain't no youngster. And he is mentally, listen to what I'm telling you, he is mentally talking to me.
Whoa.
Now, when I say he's mentally talking to me, he got my attention. This is all in silence. There's nothing verbal going on. When I looked over across that parking lot, I see this little cowboy standing there with that hat on, and I'm kind of giggling inside myself. But then I stopped laughing because he pointed right at me.
Whoa.
And he said mentally, I want you. That's what he said. I turned around to Les, doing exactly what you just did. I'm like, no, what? Did you see that? Les, did you see that? You see that over there? And Les is looking. Now, Les is a kind of a little guy also. They're kind of on the same range, size-wise. I seem to have little guys in my life, early in my life.
Yeah, well, everybody's a little guy compared to Chad if he's 6'2".
Yeah.
Right. But he's a long, skinny, lanky. When you see Chad, he is a beanpole. So he even looks taller.
That's why you fell in love with him. You were like, finally.
Listen, he's a chef. He cooks.
Yeah.
Because I ain't no beanpole, I'll tell you. He has pumped me up well. So, but dude said, he pointed at me. Now, he didn't make a big gesture out of it. He didn't stick his arm out in a long point. He kept his arm up against his chest. And I'm doing it right now like you play acting a gun. And he took that index finger and that thumb and he pointed right at me. And mentally he said, I want you. And I saw his lips move. I saw him. I saw it. So I'm freaking.
He's trying to say what's up.
I got to know what this is about. Curiosity did kill the cat. I went for it. I bit. I get Les and I'm dragging his little ass across the parking lot with me. We're going to go check this guy out. Like nobody has talked to me mentally before. I've been waiting for it all my life. What the hell just happened? And he looks like Manson. Wow. And so we get over there. He's got himself a big old van. I think it was like a chocolate brown van. And it's, it looks like one of those 70s operations. Now, this is 1990. But, he looks like he's got himself a love beast. Like it's a love beast.
I want you.
Want some candy, little girl?
Yeah, right.
Cheech and Chong is the love machine.
It's exactly. You're
Is
seeing
the
it.
love machine.
You got the side of that van open, and I mean, that thing is shag carpeted, and I mean, all it's maybe some black lights. I don't remember.
That's awesome.
I'm just freaking. And he's so happy. This little cowboy is just a very happy guy because I'm over there. Now, I don't impress people like that. We told you how Walton feels about it, so
Yeah.
It ain't like the world just lays down for me. But in this case, he made it clear, and I bit. So while we're around him, He's just generous. His language is generous. He offered us drinks, beers. We took it. And then my friend didn't like it. He didn't like the energy. He didn't like anything about it. And he wanted gone. And he made it very clear to me, we got to go. Well, I don't let nobody tell me anything. No boy. I mean, I'm not married. You ain't my boyfriend. You ain't my daddy.
Yeah.
And so I'm having that kind of argumentative inside of myself. But something told me, listen, Alta. And so I agreed. We left. Okay. So on this day, I'm to meet Chad. We'll speed it back up now. This is now Valentine's. We go from Easter to Valentine's, however much time is between that.
Okay.
So this is now the waiting for Chad, or this is after Valentine's. Yeah. Sorry. This is now 3 months later. So we're now into May-ish, I would say. My birthday's in May, which has always been a really strange, important time in our lives. So thank you, Chad. I'm having a hard time with time. And next thing I know, so we're now in around the time of May-ish. Weather's perfect, beautiful. We're going to go just take a ride on this bike with me and this bubble on my head and, just wait for Chad to come back the next day. So I'm on such a high. I'm on such a natural high. I can't even hardly stand it because I can't believe how it's all unfolding itself. We go down to the river. That's where he takes us, back down to that river. Well, who do you think is there?
And is he in a van?
The cowboy?
The boy now's got a pick-em-up truck.
What?
Mm-hmm. He's got that pick-em-up truck that's got this, open bed. He's got big, huge plastic jugs. I mean, huge jugs in the back of that thing that has got something in it that people are drinking. That something in it has a red color to it, not like blood. It's more reddish toned. We'll get back to that in a minute.
Whoa.
Music is blasting. He's having a party. Now, he's got every river rat that lives in that area at his command.
Wow.
Every one of them. But not only has he got the river rats, if you can see what I'm trying to paint you, these pictures.
Yeah.
He's got people of all walk of life that are coming to this party.
Wow.
To the point of where now start seeing, have you ever seen the movie Rosemary's Baby?
Yeah.
Okay. The collective, the very unique collectiveness of those people.
Uh-huh.
That's what's at that party.
Whoa.
There was a Rolls.
At the end of the party, a Rolls Royce pulls up. And this couple got out. Now, they are joining in with, that party grew by the masses of every kind of walk of life. I don't remember anybody of color. I don't remember anybody there of color. And I am very light-skinned. As I said, I kind of got shifted off. Back in the day, people couldn't tell if I was Middle Eastern or if I was Italian or
Mexican.
What Mexican? What are you? So I'm just saying, whatever you call me. Okay. So I don't remember any people of color in this mass, just like Rosemary's Baby. Try to get that in your mind.
Yeah.
When that Rolls pulled up, it was like, this is a movie. I'm in a movie. There's some kind of movie going on.
And they're all
here.
for him. But
And
no one just pulls up in a Rolls Royce
to a river.
I've seen one.
But they were
we're
also
talking about
not only
river
for him,
rats.
but for Alta.
What, Chad?
They come to see you too.
Apparently they did.
Yeah.
Because
What?
listen to this. So
This dude
this party seemed to be being held for me.
What?
The people started moving in around me. I'm being served what everybody else seems to be drinking out of those jugs. Whatever that liquid was nectar. I don't know how else to describe it.
Whoa.
I don't remember tasting anything like it before or since. I tasted no alcohol. I have no idea what I was drinking. I have no idea. But I can tell you this, every time those jugs emptied, I'd blink and they were filled again. Now, I'm not making any of this up, nor am I creating any of this. This is what I was experiencing.
This sounds like, I love this story. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm painting, Pan, right? Like from the mythology, Pan.
Yeah.
He's like half goat,
right.
half man, and he's kind of like known for orgies and like bringing wine and like
Right.
shit.
Exactly.
This is what I'm picturing. Danny DeVito. I'm picturing Danny DeVito in a cowboy hat, and
Serving Shirley Temples to everybody.
serving- yeah.
If Danny
Only much
DeVito
smaller
was
body,
skinny,
like Manson.
if he was skinny,
Stat
because
in,
he wasn't
right.
a real big
This
guy.
dude
he
was
wasn't,
little, like
Yeah,
Manson.
he was like, like more of a Manson type
Skinny,
body build.
short,
Wow.
not
I
attractive
mean, he
at
didn't have
all.
the big beard and
Yeah.
the
You know,
wild
whatever.
hair, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wait,
so
did
I'm-
you tell him about? Did you tell him about when he picked his
oh
cowboy
my
hat
God.
off?
In the very beginning, sorry folks.
Sorry,
We'll back up. to the
Oh
original-
shit! I love how both of y'all are like in sync on this.
Yes.
Well, he's remembering what I've been
Yeah,
closing
'cause-
out because we don't normally talk about any of this.
Yeah,
in the
we
interviews.
usually leave this part
Yeah,
out, but
you know,
we
but-
try to
but
make it
just
short
trying
and
to
sweet.
get the whole story in there.
We're
Back
in
on
for the
Easter.
ride.
Let's go back to Easter Sunday. Keyword is Easter. When he first got my attention and pointed and said, "I want you," when we walked over to him, I totally blanked that out, but it's right there.
Wow.
He lifted off that cowboy hat. He said, "You ever seen anybody with horns?"
No.
Did you hear what I just said to you when you
What?
said "pan"?
Hold on. How the fuck
Right.
did I know that you were? Oh, are you like sending me like telepathic signals that I'm somehow picking up?
She's ESPN dude right now,
You're
dude.
ESPing me right now.
Signal. I missed that signal, so
I-
I don't know where that's coming from.
I have a great imagination, but I'm never spot on ever.
For real, I couldn't.
It's not even
That was my
funny.
total.
He asked me, "Have you ever seen anybody with horns?" Now he lifted up that freaking cowboy hat, and I
It
swear
was
again
just
on
like
my
a straw
mother.
cowboy hat.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a little tiny thing, like he was, but it was hysterical looking to me. Pulled that hat off. Now he had a head full of hair. It wasn't past his shoulders. It was kind of scroungy, but he had a head full of hair. Now I can't believe I didn't, because I would think would have done this. Didn't touch his head, but when he lifted off that cowboy hat, he had tufts on top of his head on both sides in a perfect place where freaking horns. There was no doubt to
What?
me that he had them. There was no doubt.
I mean,
And yet I can't prove anything other than tell you how he expressed it.
And
Right.
this was what early days.
This was on Easter Sunday.
early '90s before they even
1990.
started.
It was 1990.
Putting
Implants
Horns.
and stuff. Yeah.
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 Body modifications.
Well, it was enough of
Right.
enough of a distraction that you noticed. Whether or not it had been actual horns out of bones, but it was like, oh, that doesn't look totally right. I don't know who. For all we know, Joe might have horns. He always wears his
Yeah.
bandana.
But I mean,
He
who
was
says
paying.
that to somebody?
Wow.
And
I was
again, I'd already
thinking-
gone through the telepathic part of this prior
Yeah.
to that horn experience. So it's like, well, he's got me at this point. He's got me because I'm already across the parking lot up in his
Damn.
face. It's not my normal procedure. And then I didn't touch his head. He put his little cowboy hat back on his head, and he had me convinced. I'm like, damn, people grow horns? Really? I come from an Indian world. I've heard all this stuff, but I've seen it. This is crazy. Let's just add crazy to crazy.
I know there's different words for pan. There's one in like the Celtic religion, but there's also it's either fawn or satyr or pan. I think it's kind of all synonymous. But if anybody out there that's listening, please correct me.
And
but-
that's because I always put him as like a demon or a devil kind of thing. But then
Dude.
when you said pan,
Oh.
that makes total sense with the wine or whatever that mixture was of that nectar that they were drinking.
Well, there's
And-
sorry, go ahead.
No.
And Yeah, so like there's also a word for that. There's probably a mythology expert out there, but they scholars don't eat scholars. Long lost the translation, but there's like a word for it. It wasn't wine. It wasn't like sangria,
Mead?
but it was like it was what you're describing. I'm
And nectar.
Yeah.
It was like a nectar of the gods, man.
Yeah, nectar of the gods.
That's exactly. That's
Right.
the only way I know how to
Exactly.
describe it.
That's
Never
fucking weird.
Right. Like all of this. So is this now?
Yeah.
We'll fast forward
Yeah.
back to
Wow.
that crazy party and the nectar drinking and the Rolls Royce pulling up and this very strange gathering of people. I'm a happy girl. I am so happy I can't hardly breathe. I just have no idea what I'm up in the middle of, but it's a party and everybody's happy and they're happy to know me and I'm happy they're happy to know me. And I'm just getting so caught up in this insanity that my friend, he wasn't. Now, he's not drinking. He's not partaking. He's getting pissed. He also knows and feels that we're in danger, or he particularly is in danger.
Okay.
So he makes it real clear to me again, we got to go. It's time to go. Now, I don't want to go. I'm just having too much fun. I don't want to go. But something, again, helped me get convinced to get on that bike.
Good.
I get on the bike, and that crowd moved in around us, encircled us, and they tightened that circle all around us, where he had to move them with the bike.
So they gathered around the motorcycle and the engine's
Yes.
on. Y'all are trying to leave,
Yes.
and everybody's like, "No, stay with us."
I don't remember him saying that. I just remember the physicality of it. They moved in around us, and they crowded us.
Bro,
And
that's
they made
crazy.
it, they made it like very difficult for
Okay.
him to move through.
This is really crazy because we just looked up that nectar of the gods that we were talking about. It's called ambrosia, and when you
right.
look at the color, it's a reddish orange, light
Right.
pink color.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Holy
That's
cow!
exactly.
So I'll
Exactly.
I'll read the definition, albeit it's Wikipedia, but you know. But the definition of ambrosia is a very closely related to the gods, other form of sustenance, nectar, period.
Oh.
The two terms may not have originally been distinguished.
What?
Though in
They
Homer's
actually say nectar?
yes,
Yes.
they do.
Say that?
Though in Homer's poems, nectar is usually the drink and ambrosia is the food of the gods. So it's not completely clear if it's food or a liquid, but it's obviously connected in some way. And so it says that it's a drink that has been that is consumed by gods, and it's supposed to give you like longevity and all kinds of weird shit. So
Well, that's very interesting because everybody thinks I'm 20 years younger than I am. No one has any idea. You could not tell that I'm 10 years older than Chad.
Wow.
And I look much younger. If I take better care of myself, that'd be a whole nother story. But I don't have
Right.
ego involved in this. Naturally,
Yeah.
I am very young looking compared to my age.
Oh yeah. And myself.
oh my, that is so interesting, you guys. Like this
Wow.
is man, we're
Well,
well
we get away from that little crowd. We get out of there. Now he's hauling ass out of there.
He's gone.
Now,
He's
right.
ready to go.
We back to being gone girl. And we on that bike and he's flying. And we're on a perfect day. Perfect weather. Perfect. There was no reason for what happened to happen. And what
Because
happened
he
is,
wasn't drinking.
right, he's sober. And right. And again, weather-wise, everything's perfect. All of a sudden, that bike came out from under him. Now, he's hauling ass. I have no idea. I'd be exaggerating if I want to say 90. I know how fast he was flying on that bike. And the bike came out from under him. And I remember it as clear as I'm telling you right now. I went airborne. He stayed with the bike, and he went down.
He
and
rode the bike.
all the way down sideways on that road. I went off of it, and I took air, and I flew. Now, I don't know how far I flew, but it was quite a ways. And when I hit, well, this is my next memory. One minute I'm on that bike and we just hauling, booty. And next thing, I'm being turned over. And as I'm being turned over, I have long hair. It's all in my face. The shield on that helmet had collapsed. And that's in my face. Put a hole in my eyebrow down to the bone above my eye. But I don't know any of this at the time, because the first image that I have is I'm looking straight up through blood and whatever, and I see a huge neon cross. It's a huge neon cross. And my first memory, my first thought is, oh my God, it's real? Forgive me all.
It's real and they've got neon.
Right. I was raised in religions, and I was raised by a very, very open mother, if you will, that gave me the opportunity to experience a lot of different kinds of everything from, Methodist to in some forms of fashion. I was raised or spent a lot of time in the Orthodox Church, the Greek Orthodox, the Eastern Orthodox. Yeah. My mother was raised in the Catholic world in an early life. She'd had so much abuse that she made it real clear to me, you're on your own, kind of, you pick your way.
Man.
And so it was wonderful in that regards, but all of a sudden I'm seeing a big neon cross and I'm not happy, because I'm thinking, oh my good Jesus, it's real. All these things is real. This cross, this whatever.
Neon cross
so then what we discover is, as I said, the shield had collapsed on my face, but thank the heavens, thank the gods, because without it, I'd have been dead. No question about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, when I went airborne, I hit face down and slid. I have no idea how far on my belly. It's what made that thing collapse. And this is even as bizarre as all the rest of the story. How convenient is this? The people that were turning me over were people that were following us, supposedly in a van, that were trauma nurses and doctors. Really? Really? If that's not some convenience, whoa, I don't know what is.
Yeah, seriously.
That supposedly is what sees or claims to have seen what happened, and first on duty. Holy to cow. Get to my attention. Now I never saw them again, because I got a lot of issues going on. I have a hole in my head. I'm conscious at this point, and I'm effing out, because I'm realizing at any point now, I've got to go to a hospital. I don't do hospitals. I don't do doctors. I don't do any of that anymore. And I stopped doing that a long time ago. And so the last thing I'm going to allow is to take me to a hospital. I'm not going to. Cop shows up and makes it real clear to my friend, she's either going to get in that ambulance or I'm going to arrest you. He threatened him. And only out of that, because I'm loyal, did I allow myself to be put in that ambulance and sent to the hospital. I get to the hospital. They take all my clothes off me because I am ripped and bloodied and just a mess. Road rash from the top of my head, obviously, down to my toes. Got a hole above my eye. Oh. I got to have stitches, but I want out of that hospital. I want out. So I wait till nobody's looking, and they got me naked with one of those gowns on that don't close up in the back.
Yeah.
And I called that girlfriend that I told you about earlier.
Uh-huh.
She didn't live far from that hospital. And I'm like, you're going to help me escape. I'm getting out of here. Come get me. She didn't hesitate. She comes and gets me, and we snuck me out of there. Now I leave. I escape the hospital in that gown, and I'm a mess. Obviously, I'm a mess.
And I was supposed to meet her that day.
I was just about to say that.
I was supposed to meet her that day.
And here you have it. So
she don't
obviously
show up.
I don't show up because I'm trying to escape a hospital.
Yeah, you're like trying to explain yourself. Like, all right, let me just tell you. There was a bunch of people down by the river.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so we escaped me out of the hospital. The next day, my mother learns about this. I'm at somebody else's house. She comes over there. She looks at me, and I got a hole in my head. And she's like, I'll clean the language up. You take you and your arse back to that hospital now. you need stitches now. So now I'm 24 hours into this injury. That's a mess. I got all this driedness on my face and all this road rash and whatever. My girlfriend, who escaped me out of the hospital, she's now going to go back there with me because she's going to hold my hand through this, because I can't believe I have to show back up in the condition that I'm in and beg for help. So, because it's either that or my mom's going to kill me. There's no question about it.
Like, hey guys, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah.
And now you got to wait in line.
Right. And wouldn't you know that the dude that was my nurse the night before happened to be my nurse the next day. He's pissed when I show back up. So he took such pleasure. Let me just say that one more time. He's taking so much pleasure in scrubbing me up.
Oh.
Got to get the gravel out of me. He's got to get I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No.
And here I sit waiting. We got a gorgeous doctor who comes in the room to stitch me up. So him and my girlfriend are flirting and carrying on with each other while I'm laying there with a hole in my head. And where's Chad? Chad is never going to believe any of this. Oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah, she's disappeared on me again.
He's never going to believe this.
Wow. She was supposed to.
So
meet
finally,
me.
2 days after I'm supposed to meet him,
right,
I go driving my sorry ass up in my car to his house that I remembered that I had been at. He's sitting outside of his mom's house. The house is all packed up. In the meantime, she's decided she's moving, so they're about to move. If this would not have happened when it did, he'd have gotten gone, and that'd have been all she wrote.
Right.
But as it stands, he's sitting there beaten, bruised, and battered from his accident.
Right.
I come dragging my sorry self up the hill. He takes a look at me. Now, he don't want to see me because he don't like me at this point, but he can't help but love me because I am a mess.
And thank goodness. Now, I don't want it to sound bad, but my where I went to the doctor, he had no problem writing me a prescription for pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Not Alta.
Her doctor?
Nothing.
Not
an aspirin.
Whoa.
Yeah,
right.
Not even an aspirin.
Like I'm some kind of drug addict. Jesus, I can't get an aspirin.
Sore, but I'm not.
I got stitches.
I don't have stitches. I grabbed.
He don't got a hole in his head.
Yeah, I don't have a hole in my head.
So Chad's got the pain pills to boot. Man, he had me.
Like, well,
it was love at first pain pill.
Hell yeah. That happens to me too, because I have long hair and like a beard, and like people have their first time assumptions. So anytime like I go to the dentist or something, they never give me painkillers at all. They're like,
is this Joe talking? Are you
Joe? Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, you look like me. They never gonna trust us.
Never.
Trust us.
They're always like, yeah, take a couple aspirin and you should be fine.
Yeah,
and I'm like, but you just gave that. You gave that 13-year-old girl like a month's supply of Vicodin. Why do I have to take aspirin?
Exactly.
Right.
So, there's the story of Alta and Chad.
I kind of went, well, I got these.
And I said, well, you got me, and I'll take those pills, and life is going to get on with it.
Yes.
I was in the back of when I had my accident, I was in the back of a
convertible
Mustang convertible. And I just grabbed the front seat.
And held on.
And just held on.
They hit a tree. His aunt and uncle hit a tree.
As my uncle flew out of the car and like planted into the tree. I saw him go
crazy
into
accidents, like really severe.
And thank God my aunt, she was my aunt. She was buckled in. Mm-hmm. And
so that is our first. This was all of our first. A whole lot more than you asked for. Information.
Getting back together,
Yeah.
Connected again. So we made up our mind. This is it.
Yeah,
we're not going to part again. We will just get on with it. So now we'll move to Hammond.
Yeah,
because you were asking us about Hammond.
Yeah.
So
there's still a lot more going on in Little Rock.
There's a little bit of in between there.
A lot in between.
Yeah, a lot in between, especially with our mutual friend and everything.
So then
we'll
we leave Arkansas. We married a year later in 91.
Up in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I worked for the Mayo Clinic for a minute. Yeah. And that happens to be in Rochester, Minnesota. So we decided on a Tuesday afternoon, let's get married. And we had the best time of our life, the best at the courthouse. It was fabulous. And then, so that's 91. Now we'll fast forward to, because there's a lot in between, to 95. My mom has left Arkansas and moved to Louisiana. She's living on other people's property. They had a large piece of property. This husband and wife, he had 19. You might understand the word teepees. I call them lodges. Yeah. He had several of them on his property. He had a whole community of buffalo. Yeah, he had a petting zoo. Yeah. And he was creating this environment for educational purposes. Yeah. Where they would bus children in and tourism and all about native world and buffalo and this and that. So my mom, being the residential Indian in Arkansas, she's retired at this point and so on. So they asked her, do you want to come and live here, Pam, in this other house? We've got another house on the property. And we're going to do this tourism and children thing. And she was an educator and all, so she jumped on it. So she moves there first with these folks. Then she lets us know that there's an opening for us to come there if we want to come there and join her. And we jumped on board. And Mom and I are going to be this little dynamic duo in our regalia. And we're going to and Chad is just amazing with animals.
They dressed me up as like the local sheriff, and I had like the little 6-gun and
nice.
So that lasted for a minute, and then it all fell apart. And next thing we know, Chad and I are still in that area, but not living on that property any longer.
Just right outside of
We've moved to a mobile home, this kind of funky old place, just to have a place to figure out what our next steps are going to be. Outside of this community called Hammond. Now, Hammond is a small, but it's fairly substantial, several thousand people, but still fairly small college town or university town in Louisiana. Probably about 45 minutes or so outside of New Orleans.
It's what they call the North Shore.
Yeah.
So we moved there. And it's on a Friday evening, and we decide we're going to go into Hammond and have dinner. Now, the sun has not set yet, so I keep emphasizing everything we've told you about is happening in daylight.
I know that sound.
It's still.
I'm gonna open up the wine, you guys. Sorry.
Chad knows that sound.
Yeah, no, he called it immediately. He's like a legit Eddie Vedder.
Exactly. So we decide we're going to go into Hammond because we're living kind of a few miles outside, and we're in swampland.
Yeah, we're in
the middle of the swamps.
Yeah.
And so, no civilization or anything. So we're going to go where there's humans and go have dinner. We're going to have dinner and drinks that night. That was our only plan. We had nothing else planned. Now, Chad, you pick it back up.
All right. So
Chad's driving. I'm passenger.
I'm driving. Yeah. And we're driving into town, and again, it's still kind of daylight. It's getting kind of, evening.
It's still daylight.
Yeah. We come around this big bend in the road.
In a lot of traffic.
And there's like these tall pines, and then back behind the pines was the local
supersized Walmart.
Mm-hmm. Shopping center.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we come around the corner and we look up, and there's this craft, this something in the sky.
It's the size of the sky.
It's huge.
Whoa!
When people say massive,
it's bigger than. I mean, I don't know how high it was because I'm not good at that as far as like.
But it was below cloud level.
Yeah, it was below cloud level.
Wow.
It seemed to be very close to the ground.
Okay. It's ginormous.
It's huge. It's bigger than the
supersized
shopping
Walmart
center,
and parking lot.
It's bigger than the field
all put together
next to it.
Mm-hmm.
So are we talking like Independence Day big, or are we talking kind of Terry Lovelace like?
Because he also Terry Lovelace also says Walmart size.
It's just massive. It's huge.
I took note of that.
Which is
I took note of that.
Note of that the other day.
Now, I've never seen any of the UFO movies, like what you just said, Independence Day. I've never seen any of that, so I don't know. Chad.
I mean, have you seen it?
But
it was big.
I only
it's bigger than the Walmart and the parking lot and all the surrounding area.
Was huge.
I only say that because it's something familiar that we've all been into, and we know kind of roughly how big. I'm not saying that, I mean, there's so many people out there that compare UFOs to, buildings or whatever, but it's like something familiar. So like you've walked through the hallways and you kind of know the circumference and what it would look like in the sky. So yeah, that's awesome.
So it was huge. It was so big that Alta's head flipped sideways. I caught it for a second, and it didn't register. Whoa. I only know internally that can't exist.
Yeah.
That. I mean. So I turned to Chad while he's driving, navigating that traffic, and he's taking this in. I can't look at it. I won't look at it. Because if I don't look at it, it doesn't exist. Yeah. And I stared at Chad. Just a second, Chad, and then you take it over. I'm staring at Chad, and I am begging him mentally to tell me that that's not happening. Not real. That is not happening. But I can see in his face.
I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we both like, oh, damn. We both see it. That just didn't, I mean, it was just like, beyond comprehension.
Yeah. So
both looked at it, and we both looked at it, and my thought exactly, just what Alta said. Okay, if we don't acknowledge it,
you just said that it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If we acknowledge it, they won't know that we saw them.
Right. Well, it's almost like you're having this fear, or maybe understanding that this, whatever it is kind of, it knows what you're thinking, and there's some power in that almost. Like, maybe if you believe that it's not there, it's almost like late at night you get scared or spooked, you hear the house creaking, and it's like, fuck, that's no, it's not a ghost, it's not a UFO. I think everybody does that. Like, okay, for a second when I was walking through that dark ass hallway, I thought I saw some creature, and then you tell yourself it's not there, and then you forget about it. And I think most people do that, and it takes a certain kind of curious mind to go into that and like really speculate. But when you're in that moment, sorry, I got off track there, but when you're in that moment and you try to make that happen, you try to trick your brain into thinking it's not there, that's got to be a surreal kind of moment. And so like, were there any other observers that you remember that also saw it?
Right. No, as far as like when we were driving, there was no, because there was nobody like pointing in the sky. There was no like chaos out on the street because there was traffic. I mean, there was traffic around.
Yeah.
Right at the. I mean, there's like the Walmart shopping center on one side, the another shopping center on the other side with like the Kmart or in shoe stores and all that. I never remember anybody like pulling over and like looking up in the sky or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the next day, I don't know it. We're not quite sure. We're pretty sure that this was like a local radio station that accounted like somebody reporting strange lights in the sky.
Okay. So at least somebody said something about it.
Okay, but it's such a weird, like, it's very like it's cool that there's like another eyewitness. But, you know, when you get into this stuff and people talk about how, you know, some people, it can be right there and you will see it, and other people won't. It's almost like it's only available for certain people. The fact that you saw this massive thing is like strange that the radio station would say, yeah, there were some strange lights in the sky.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like you got the full show while these other people caught these lights.
Right.
You know?
I'm curious. So can,
Right.
can you describe it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was almost like not a
Kind of trapezoid shape.
Wow.
You
kind of a
Right.
long rectangle, but shorter on one side than the other.
shorter in the back.
Like
That is-
a like a
Right.
it, like
Sure.
a
What-
It's tapered.
One end wider than the other,
Mhm.
almost like a pyramid, but like the
Like a
tip was cut
trapezoid.
off.
Huh, like a kazoo.
But
Yeah.
more like a
Did
more
you
like
say
a
kazoo?
rectangle.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's
but
wider
more-
at one end
more
and thinner.
rectangle.
Rectangle.
Yeah.
More rectangle
It
sound.
had like 3 or 4
It's the funny
lights in
instrument.
the back, 2 or 3 lights in the front, and very flat, very black, very
silent.
no sound
Man,
And maybe no movement.
that I remember.
ooh.
that's so
moving-
interesting.
Moving very, very
If it was
slow.
moving at all.
Yeah, if it was moving at all.
Did
It
you
was
And
like
total silence.
very slow.
did you see any appendages or poles or any kind of things dangling from any of the sides downward or sideways or anything like that? That you
Nothing
No.
like anything you hear
No,
Shrat
it was
describe or most
very-
people. No.
It was like a moving building.
hmm Without
Wow.
appendages.
And
Without
it's
the only
black.
thing that he's describing are a few
Yeah,
lights.
very, very dark.
Matte. Flat matte.
Flat black.
hmm
Jeez.
Not
That's-
shiny, not anything.
Mm-mm.
Very.
Just something too big to be in that sky with
Yeah.
no sound.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've heard of this. There's the paint, right? Like called Vanta Black, where it absorbs so much light that you can't really tell
Right.
3-dimensional shapes because there's no shadows to be had.
Right.
So
Right.
was it like that, or could
Like
you
using like stealth technology type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there's like this dude that's trying to like recreate it with cheaper materials, and it's like almost there. You could buy it. It's like in spray paint. But so what I'm asking is like, could you tell any edges, or did it look like a void?
No, there was edges.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
like
defined.
almost like a. Oh, what are those?
I mean, you said the trapezoid shape. I get, but
Yeah.
I guess what I'm thinking of is like a 3-dimensional. Like, was there a lip or seam of any type?
Oh yeah. You could. It could. If I was gonna say, it would have to be like as far as like the width. Now it was, long ways. So, is like the length very big. The width would be like a 2 or probably a 3 or 4 story building.
Wow, that is pretty big. That's massive, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, so what you're
As
doing
far as like thickness.
when you said a pyramid, you meant 3-dimensional pyramid, but like stretched out. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, right.
Okay, all
Thicker
right.
at one end, thinner at the other.
Oh shit! All
That's
right.
cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's like, it was very flat on the front, very flat on the back, but then kind of, tapered in like a pyramid kind of thing.
Dude, that's super cool. I love that. I just love hearing details of
Probably 3 or 4 stories thickness. And
Wow.
then,
yeah. And it was floating, no noise, and no one seemed to be paying attention. I kind of want to go back and like rehash
Right.
what Joe said, because I love that idea that it sometimes these experiences, it feels like, from what we've heard and the people that we've talked to, which is really not that much, but we've had some really great stories since we've started this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
And amazing people, smart, intelligent people like yourselves, try their best to describe this thing. And each time it always seems to be like, yeah, there were other people around, but like no one seemed to care.
Yeah.
So it seems like they choose who's allowed, what frequency you're allowed to see it. Maybe it's not physically see it, or maybe it's just comprehend it or record it in your short-term memory. Maybe there's some kind of frequency that they're pulsing out that like it just doesn't work on some of us. That we forget it immediately and we just don't care about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that in my case, I can't offer any description any more than the fact that there was something in that sky that was the size of the sky, and it mortified me to the point, it put me in shock to the point of where I turned my head away and I could not and I would not look back. Nor would I acknowledge it, nor would I accept it.
And we probably would have never talked about this.
Never.
Until we had other experiences.
And people reported this.
And then people
we
reported
didn't, but
it
others
the next
did,
day.
to confirm that what I worked very hard to make up my mind wasn't real or didn't exist. Others saw.
Right.
So that sort of knocked that one out of the park.
Right. What's interesting is that you're not looking for validation in this time in your life. I mean, it doesn't in the story you're telling me now, it's you're not really wanting this to be true, which
no. No.
Well, and well,
not me.
People ask us, well, do you have pictures? Do you have pictures? Well, I mean, well, back in those days, there was no, like...
But you're right. What you're saying, on this experience, this first experience, I wanted no acknowledgement of this. I wanted nothing to do with this. This was a non-event.
Right.
And
this was just between you guys.
And
that's right.
Yeah, and it seems like people who want nothing to do with it get messed with way more than people who are like, take me, please.
Yeah.
Like, those people never see anything. The people who are just regular people who don't even care about it, they have the wildest experiences. And
totally.
And like we were telling you about Eric Mitchell. I mean, that guy was a single dad with kids fixing a water pump issue on his car, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's an experiencer.
I know exactly who he is. I absolutely know him, and I know his story.
Okay.
He has been public in the past.
Yeah, he's
to the point where, he's amazing, beyond amazing, and I thought amazing things would happen with him, with the city and the whatever. But I've learned the community such, so it doesn't surprise me at all.
He's very quiet about it, and yeah, that's the guy I was saying. I would like to introduce y'all to him because I mean,
that'll just be amazing. I'm familiar with that story
because I mean, the thing that drove us to him was the fact that he was like, hey, I'm just here to help some people. And we were like, dude, I want to help you help people. Because these experiences and the things that people go through are so just traumatizing and trivial that if you have no outlet, it's very easy to see why you would have this feeling of like, I'm going crazy, but you're not the only one.
No,
not at all.
There are so many of us.
Absolutely. We kind of got sidetracked there. For a second, let's keep going.
Now I know who he is, so I'm happy that kind of circled back around.
Absolutely.
So that's our first. To me, I so desired it to be a non-event that we discover apparently is a true event because others reported it.
Right.
And so that solidified, but we weren't interested in being solidified. As you said, you hit that right on the point of we had no interest. We're just trying to get on with life. We're just trying to have a life. We're trying to just get on with it. So in no time after that experience... Again, if you got questions, we love the questions because it so helps us with recall also. But if I can't offer any more about that experience because I chose to, just going unconscious at the moment.
Yeah. So
and Chad has given you pretty much the best that he could as far as what he was able to deal with while he's still driving and navigating traffic and what have you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No.
And so after this, within no time, it feels to me, I'm not good with time, but it seems like in a minute, we made a decision. We're moving to the French Quarter. We're not going to stay here any longer. We're moving.
Yeah.
So off we trot. We moved to the French Quarter. We moved right up into it. And, we wanted to be in it because that's the secret of living in the quarter, to be in the heart of it. Well, we also discovered very quickly it's extremely expensive.
Yes.
And we didn't have money. We didn't even have jobs.
And not only that, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, but who you know.
Oh, yeah.
To get an apartment.
Oh, to get even be considered to get an apartment at all?
Yeah, well, for the most part, or you've got to have references out the wazoo along with all the cash.
I believe that because it's so small, the area that's desirable. It's like, man, it's almost like you got to be in some sort of club or know somebody.
That's right. We knew no one, and we're nobody. And we, again, not even jobs. We're going to move to the quarter. We're going to get jobs. We're just going to get on with life. Let's have a party. And so it's why we never had kids. We didn't want to answer to anybody about anything. We just wanted to get on with life. So we can't move into where we'd like to because we can't afford to. What we can afford is the bordering streets around the quarter. It is the quarter, but it would be that perimeter street. The perimeters are least expensive. They're the least desirable and they're the least expensive. Well, that's where we land. Not only do we land there due to economics, but again, there's so much more to this story than anything human or money or any of this, such as our first apartment is above a voodoo temple. A voodoo temple.
The religion or the practice of magic? Because
all of the above.
Because hoodoo, right, is the magic part, and voodoo is the religion.
Right,
I just recently learned this, and I'm just like, I'm trying to sound badass right now.
Well, I'll agree to anything you say because we've experienced it all.
Yeah.
So we move into this voodoo temple apartment. This voodoo temple was considered the original, like the authentic.
Oh, wow.
And because there's a lot of that going on there.
Uh-huh.
So this particular location, those buildings were built 300 years ago. That's what we moved into, is a 300-year-old structure.
It was right across the street from Louis Armstrong Park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean...
It used to be amazing, and now by the time we got there is the hood.
Yeah,
it had turned into the hood.
Yeah.
And it's not a place most people want to live.
Uh-huh.
Well, we were too young and dumb to care. We just, what the hey. I'm an Indian. You're into drumming. My mother was a drum maker.
Yeah.
Shoot, we got this all worked out.
I've been there.
Yeah. So the voodoo priestess, she took a fancy to us because she found out you can't tell necessarily, as I say, to necessarily look at me that I'm an Indian girl, but I have all my regalia. She saw that and she went ka-ching, 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 because voodoo love Indians and Indians love voodoo.
Yeah.
And
cool.
She saw it as dollar signs. This woman is on television. Every time you turn your TV on, this is who you generally will see being interviewed or dealt with in the French Quarter.
It wasn't Miss Cleo, was it?
You know, it wasn't that one.
Okay.
So this one took a fancy to us in the beginning because, as I said to you, just bottom line, there was no doubt to me she was going to make a whole lot of money off of me.
Wow.
Combining me and her and whatever. No. Voodoo, hoodoo, I ain't interested. More power to you. That's your belief system, your whatever. I honor that, but that's not us, and we're not interested.
Yeah. Okay.
And so she didn't take kindly to that at all. She didn't take kindly to that. Now, our first experiences in our apartment, we're on a second floor above the temple. The temple's kind of below us and over a little bit, and right below us had been turned into a.
We were like catty corner.
Sorry, Chad. What?
It was a fourplex, and we were catty corner from the temple.
Oh,
Yeah.
right on. Yeah.
Nice. So
Yeah.
not like directly like above the synergy of energy, right? Like it was
Right.
kind of, you were away
Yeah.
from the blast of energy going on.
But we had probably at the time one of the largest courtyards in the French Quarter, and that courtyard was used for voodoo practice and ritual.
Cool.
So that all went on underneath
they-
our windows
They
of our apartment.
filmed, I believe, Serpent in the Rainbow.
An old voodoo
And
movie of the
old
80s or
voodoo
90s
movie.
Yeah.
was filmed in our.
Eric Roberts. We watched Eric Roberts.
If you know who he is, Julia Roberts' brother.
Julia
Yeah.
Roberts' brother.
He made movies
he
there. We
made
met him
movie,
there. We're not interested in celebrity. I'm not sure why Chad's bringing.
Oh, no.
It's not our gig, but there was a lot going on in this area. I'm just trying to get the story moved along about our experiences. So, the courtyard has got the voodoo priestess has got her own quarters, her own building on one side of the courtyard, detached from us. And then on the other side of the courtyard, detached from us, used to be the slave quarters. They had been converted into tiny efficiency apartments. I have to say, quite adorable. But those buildings are authentic. And those were slave quarters. So
Now they're cute.
with that, and they got cute. And so as some of these experiences that we were having, they started right from the jump. The minute we moved in, I use the word high strangeness for anything that others would call paranormal. I don't use those words. I call everything high strangeness. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's a good blanket statement. It's not
that's
triggering.
Right. Exactly. And so, because I have a very different take on all of this, very different than anybody I've heard speak about having these experiences. My thoughts and feelings about all of this vary tremendously from anybody else I've heard. So I use the word high strangeness. So the high strangeness started immediately, particularly with Chad. And we'll have Chad share with you.
My first experience. Okay, so we just move in. There's not much furniture there. We don't have.
Yeah, we're just starting.
We're
like
sleeping.
newbies.
Yeah, we're sleeping on a very small bed,
Mm-hmm.
and
Necessary.
we're laying there. All of a sudden, I feel this. I go to sleep. I feel something right above my heart, like tickling me. So immediately I'm thinking it's a bug or something. So I go up and I scratch. And this happens to me 3 or 4 times, 5 times throughout the night.
Yeah.
My last memory is I wake up immediately and I see this very short-statured African-American or dark-skinned man. Now, I could only see him from his waist up. From his waist down was kind of like a misty, cloudy kind of thing.
And what he means by
Whoa.
sees this is floating above him, parallel.
It's parallel.
Horizontal above Chad.
Horizontally above me.
Right.
And I see him take his finger and tickle me right above my heart or right around my heart area.
What?
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, actually, I wake up the next morning and I've got like this. I've dug a couple of like inches off of my skin.
Oh no.
Whoa.
I worked in the restaurant business, but I did like the morning or breakfast, lunch kind of shift.
He started off on the famous Bourbon Street
I worked on
in a club restaurant
Saint
on
Anne Royal.
Bourbon.
Oh, I mean, that's like some of the best cuisine in the world. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Right. This vision, not a memory from a dream or anything like this. This vision starts coming back to me, this person or this cloudy person starts tickling my chest, and I would go up and scratch.
Ooh.
Now, if it was a bug or something like that, it would be in different places of my body, right? It wouldn't be in the same exact spot.
Yeah.
So I scratch and I scratch. So again, I get back to work. I start, piecing this together. I get home. I had remembered this vision, this thing. And Alta being Native American, she's always had, the burn, with the sweetgrass and the sage
and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I get home
for cleansing.
I grab her thing, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what you
he
are.
is smudging the hell out of that apartment. You can't.
I mean, I've got
pure smoke.
I've got it smoking there.
It's smoking.
I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you are. I'm like, it's all cool. You ain't got to leave.
Yeah.
I'm going to paint this house. We're going to clean it up, and you can stay. Just don't mess with me. Or don't mess with us.
See, I love that vibe. I love that energy, man, because I feel like that's the best way to go about it is.
Buddy, we're gonna have us a nice little.
Just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Just don't mess with us.
Yeah, I think about, if you don't mind, like, I'm just this just brings me so much joy talking about this subject in particular, because there's a lot that I've learned over the past couple of years. And like spirituality, and like I used to be so like I didn't know anything about it. I used to be so negative towards that, like that's all bullshit. I need evidence. But now it's totally different. After speaking with people like yourselves, like hearing actual people talking about these things, it's opened my mind to a lot of things. And what I did learn in the past couple of years is the power of bedrock and like limestone and quartz, and how traumatic events can be recorded in the energy that resides in the bedrock beneath. And now I'm thinking, as you're telling the story, like Louisiana itself in the French Quarter, it's pretty slushy, right? I mean, they're
slushy.
It's come slushy. On, man. It's more than 300 years old.
Mm-hmm. It's below sea level.
Below sea level.
It's slushy.
It's right there on the water.
Okay.
The water is like, conductive. So,
never thought about that. Yeah,
that's why all the graves are above ground in Louisiana too, right? Because it's below sea level, and
if you bury somebody there, they're going to pop back up.
You don't want that.
We
saw that in Poltergeist.
Like Hurricane Katrina was like, there were like graves, like massive amounts.
Even the ones that were above grave had trouble back then.
I guess my point was like wondering where, I don't know, just curious, like where this energy, if it's not locked into bedrock or limestone or quartz, like where is it? Is it in the walls? Is it in the wood of the building?
Oh man,
that would be yes, all of the above.
I mean, it's in the building, it's in the bricks,
it's all of it.
In the.
So Chad, then not long after this.
So anyway, so about a month later, another couple moved down below us. And they had been married by the voodoo priest that had died like a month or two before we moved into this apartment.
Whoa.
So apparently the voodoo priest and the voodoo priestess
didn't like each other very well.
Really live together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And we lived in his old apartment.
We were in his apartment.
So, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Snap.
Actually,
I just
back up a little bit. Actually, back up a little bit. She goes, here's our pictures of our wedding of
the priestess,
of the priest. And she starts showing me these pictures. And I'm like, wow, this is the guy that I shot. And then I told them the story that I just told you about the voodoo priest, or about this image that's above me. And like, I tell them that story, and they go, well, that sounds right, because he was a trickster, and he would like test you to see if you were okay
cool enough to be in his space.
Yeah,
wow.
if you were cool enough to be in his space, or
He was saying, "Hey, you got something on your shirt. You got some mustard on your shirt." That's what he was doing.
That's right. That's it.
right.
He's trying to
And
flick
he
your
was
nose,
from
man.
Belize.
This priest was from Belize.
From Belize.
He was
wow.
the real deal.
He was a Belize.
Yeah, he
priest.
was the real deal.
Yeah, he was like from Belize. He was like
The real deal.
yeah.
Damn.
So
Oh
so
my
that
god.
was Chad's first experience in that
was
apartment.
our first.
And then not
experience.
long after this happened to Chad,
Alta's had.
I had several experiences, but one in particular is time shift, a time shift, because I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
I got a girlfriend that's going to come over, little hottie girl, I might add. She was a little hottie girl who just didn't care about nothing. She was adorable.
Roller
And she
skates
just-
and slips.
Yes, she wore very little of clothing, and she didn't have to. And she would rollerblade her way right through the movie operations that were taking place in our courtyard.
Whoa.
Because we didn't like that too much, because movies were being made there. It didn't happen a lot, but when it did happen, they took over, and we had a hard time getting in and out of our apartment.
Oh, I
having
bet.
all of that junk and whatever. She was so adorable. What did she care? She put those rollerblades on with hardly no clothes on, and she just woofed right through it.
That's
Just screwed
awesome.
everything.
Well, I know you
Yeah.
don't have any pictures of yourself, but if you have any pictures of your friend, you're more than welcome to send them over.
Not a problem. I will do some digging for you.
All right.
And you'll actually have a picture of me in regalia, because that's the only way I would ever allow that. And there is one in the book.
That's so cool.
You'll at least have some imagery of me. But
Awesome.
This little girl decides now she's 20-something at the time. I'm, 15 years older. I'm the old chick. But you just wouldn't know that, because I just got no age to me.
And
Yeah.
you had ambrosia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I had ambrosia. You've explained everything. I got no more questions.
That's very interesting though that you like if we kind of tied your experience at the river to like Pan, who is a trickster, and now we have Chad who met another trickster who is
Exactly.
That's very
Sure.
interesting.
There's more to come.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey guys, I know you guys are. Before we start on a new story, we're at the 3-hour mark. I know we're all.
Wow.
I know you probably. I think we should. Do y'all want to reconvene next week? Do y'all want to be back on next week?
Listen, we love
Hey,
you all.
sounds
So
great.
if you'll have us, nothing would be funner.
I would love that.
Absolutely. Because
I
what
promise
we've
get back on track, and we'll stay on track. And
No,
we'll
no,
get-
no.
No, please don't stay on track.
I'm fine with you staying off track. What we've noticed is at the 3-hour mark, people kind of start to tune out. And I want
Right.
people to pay attention to
Yeah.
your story because
Yes.
this is freaking amazing.
Yes.
I
yeah.
love it.
Because
Much.
we're getting ready to go into the
good stuff.
into the French Quarter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
if we've learned anything from Game of Thrones, you have to end the episode on a cliffhanger.
Oh, I love that. I never saw Game of Thrones either, but I do love cliffhangers.
Me either.
So-
I've never seen Game
So
of
what
Thrones.
what you guys should do is really quick. It's just a quick, just one sentence. Maybe just decide what you're going to pick back up on. And I don't know. You guys are such great storytellers. In one sentence, describe maybe where we're going to pick back up. That would be awesome if y'all could do that. Because I know you've got more stories. I mean, it doesn't have to be something, don't think too hard on it. But I thought it was a fun
Actually,
idea.
the story I just started to share with you, I think, is very impressive.
You said
on a-
time slip, right?
Right, time slip.
Yeah.
That involved, if I might add, it was that apartment. It involved what I'm convinced were female slaves from back in the day when they lived on that property.
Whoa.
And another female that appeared Caucasian, but her appearance would have been what people have done renditions of the Virgin Mary.
What?
Is that
Damn
a cliffhanger? I think
Love
that's
it.
a good.
Freaking love it. You guys.
Now I don't want to end.
I don't want to.
Jesus, I'm going to keep
The
going.
Virgin Mary is calling.
You guys are amazing. I I've had such a fun night, you guys. Like, this is so entertaining. Like, I cannot wait till next week, you guys. We're talking about UFOs. We're talking about entities. We're talking about voodoo. We're talking about mind control at a young age. We're talking about so many things that are relevant. That all, I mean, we've been saying this as well. I mean, Jacques Vallée says that everything is connected, right? And the fact, and the fact that you guys have so many stories that span across different areas and the synchronicities that have happened in y'all's lives, and y'all are together for a reason, being able to tell the story as you are now is, I think, there's a reason why. So I can't wait to hear the rest of it.
Dude,
well, if we may leave you with a little homework.
Oh, please do.
And the homework would be to look up the Zach and Addie. Zach and Addie story.
Okay.
Of the French Quarter, New Orleans, particularly the time of Katrina. This young couple moved into our apartment 10 years after we lived there. And that story, they've made a book. A dude came out of New York City, an author, moved to New Orleans to make a book about this story. The book is called, what is, Chad, you bought? What the heck is the title? Right.
Shit.
Dealing with the Devil.
Dealing with the Devil. Sorry.
Might be, they swear. I think we're okay. They can edit us.
Oh, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, you're good.
But look up, all you need to do is just Google my new best friend, Zach and Addie, French Quarter, Katrina.
Right.
And be prepared to start getting crazed, amazed. That story in itself is mind-blowing.
That was the same apartment.
Same identical apartment we lived in 10 years prior. You look up what happened to those people.
Oh, shit.
I'm so
nuts.
glad.
Oh, shit.
Dude.
I mean, we're talking about devil, man. If we get into like religious shit, I'm so intrigued by that.
Yeah.
Like if we start getting into angels and demons and like
get yourself ready, because I had this kind of Virgin Mary sort of experience with these, what I'm positive were slave females.
That apartment was alive.
And that apartment was alive. And you look up the Zach and Addie story, and you're going to discover very quickly. Mind-blowing.
Dude.
I'm so glad you guys reached out to us. This is like my favorite thing right now. I'm so excited.
Like our book report next week.
Okay, yeah. Well, how many words? 3,000? 4,000?
Exactly.
Handwritten?
I only know like 80 words.
Well, we'll fax it to you.
Since we can't read and spell, you just verbalize it. You just think it. Listen, you're doing fine with that pan stuff. I mean, you're just there. You are so there.
About the pan thing.
Yeah, I think we're on this. I'll just walkie-talkie to you guys. We're on the same frequency.
I'm pretty sure we're there. We can't wait. You just let us know, and we're there. So thank you both for everything. If you have families, thank your families so much for giving us this time.
Absolutely.
Both of you sharing with us. And, well, we love you all. And, you know, that's just the only way I know how to say it. We thank you so much.
Well, we love you guys. I mean, the past few hours have been amazing, and you guys are such awesome people with an amazing story. And I think not just us, but our listeners are very interested in this story.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to continue it. And next week.
I pray we didn't lose them for you, because it's just so much. It's just so much.
No, not at all. Not at all. And
same bat time, same bat station.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, if you guys don't mind, like send us an email or something. And we'd like to kind of maybe introduce you to our buddy.
That would be beautiful. Oh, yeah. And please, if you don't mind, an address to us so we can get the books to you.
Yes.
I will do.
I don't like giving out my address via Facebook.
No, absolutely. I don't even have Facebook. I stole Chad's. I'm anonymous. So yeah. So just however you can get that across to us, and
perfect.
And we look so forward to the future with you all.
Email address or something.
And we just can't thank you both enough.
Absolutely. Well, let's do this.
Have a wonderful night.
Oh, we will. We will. Absolutely. Next week. Same time, same place. Just like you said, we're going to pick this back up, and we're going to get into the story. If we got to go part 3, part 4, whatever we got to do, we're going to get the full story out of you guys because
we're in it to win it. We are so in it to win it.
We really enjoyed you guys. I mean,
we just had so much fun. It's been a great party. Let's do it again.
Right here in the
house with us. Yeah, we're just so thankful.
Hell
You all
yeah.
have a wonderful, safe night. And
All
we'll
right.
do the same. We look forward to next week.
Okay, you
Will
guys.
do.
All right, y'all have a good night. I'll talk to you next week.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers, you guys.
bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Dope. Damn, man.
Dude.
Before the show, I was telling you, like, when they reached out, I just had no idea what we were getting into. I just thought that their story sounded really interesting.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a whim. And this is like by far my new favorite story.
It's so good, man. I mean, they're just
cool fucking people
you
too.
know, when you get the story from a perspective of like, yo, I don't like and I'm not into any of this shit.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what's happening.
Let me tell you some shit that's
Let
happening.
me tell you something that happened to me.
Yeah.
And then not only is it like UFOs and aliens, but dude, we're talking like just like you were saying earlier, dude. I mean, we're talking Native American, voodoo, poltergeist,
Sasquatch.
We haven't even gotten to it. Lizard monkeys,
Dude. Okay, I didn't want to.
I mean, dude,
Lizard monkeys, bro. That is literally something that they've had an experience with, and I cannot wait to hear what the fuck that means.
so excited. Yeah, this has been great, man. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation with them.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
So
It doesn't. You know what I really love is that it feels like they're excited that we
are excited.
Which makes it a fun show.
Absolutely, dude.
I feel like-
absolutely.
I mean, we haven't had a bad guest yet, but which I'm thankful for. But
Yeah.
I just can't believe that we're able to have these conversations and we haven't met a crazy person yet.
Yeah,
We haven't talked to a crazy person
At least
yet.
we don't think so.
And
You
it's
know?
just like, damn.
maybe we're the crazy.
I think
ones.
I think we're crazy. I think we're the crazy ones.
Man,
But like, if
dude.
you read the bullet list that we had, our talking points, I mean, if you sent that to anybody, they were like, oh, okay, well, what the.
Yeah.
But when you're hearing it in the context that it was laid out in, that's why it's so important to hear the background.
And dude, we literally got to
Number
the
4.
second thing, UFO sighting in Louisiana, and we
Oh, shit,
didn't
that's
even
right, it's
we
only
didn't
2
even
things.
get to that really.
Really
we
didn't.
just got to them. Like we have their name, Chad and Alta,
Yeah.
and then the next thing is UFO sighting in Louisiana,
And there's 1, 2, 3,
and then the next
4,
thing
5,
is
6, 7.
the
7
couple
more things after
Christian
that.
abduction. Yeah, like we got to their name.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important though, because
It is.
What I think we've embarked on is which I maybe I'd like to continue if you know, in the future, like, hey, what's your background? But I get that, like, not a lot of people want to go into their childhood. Not a lot of people have
Right.
pleasant memories or can even remember their childhood in that.
But in
that
this
way.
specific story, it was important.
Right, it was, and so like, yeah, I'm so glad we went into all that detail, and Alta was able to articulate that, dude. Like, it gave so much texture to the story.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
moving forward,
It was really cool.
had we had started in Louisiana, it's like
We missed
missed all the
we missed the 3-hour episode basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what we'd have missed. And it was also cool too because I mean, like, we would occasionally bring up things that they were like, "Oh shit, I never thought of that." And that's always so like fun to be able to like go back and forth with people and exchange ideas and really like, you know, like they were saying, they've had really bad experiences with people in this field. And I never want to do that to anybody.
Yeah. I don't even like to say we're even in the field, dude. We're observers.
Right.
Now-
we definitely are.
Like months ago, I would have been like, "Oh yeah, we're in the industry," but like, no,
we're not. We're observers.
we're commentators, and we make it easy to.
Yeah, if it gets to the point to people where it'd be like, "Oh, UFO Garage, yeah, those guys are in the field or whatever, this and that." Like, personally, I don't feel like we're professional enough to be in the field, and I am so okay with that it's all right.
If we were ever on Ancient Aliens, dude, the first thing I would do is when they were like, okay, action, I would go and be like, all right, get these fucking idiots out of here. All right, that was a little fucked up. I find the tuxedos were hilarious, but now I think it's fucked up.
Like, we both have stupid tuxedos on, and they move from you. They're like, all right, he made a fart noise. Fuck this guy. Joe, okay, what do you have to say? And then they like, ready, action. I'm like, you guys smell that?
You guys smell popcorn? Everybody's like,
oh, no. Oh man, dude. Yes. No, I like that. I like that bull in a china shop kind of vibe.
oh my god!
Because when
what a great description.
It's like when we're around people that are like in the UFO field, we kind of are this bull in a china shop, just knocking shit over.
We either repel people or we attract them.
Asking questions that we should already know the answers to.
We both have a bottle of wine in our hands.
We both got wine in our hands. Yeah, dude. I mean, hey.
That's how we made most of our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, we've met some of the best people.
That's
ever,
why. That's okay.
You know?
I did a bad job. I was trying to explain and be optimistic. Like, not everybody that you meet in the industry is bad. Like, everybody just. Sometimes you don't have time to really give the people that deserve the time to talk to in that moment. I failed in the way I was trying to describe my point. I just didn't have it clear in my head. And I did that thing where I start talking where I really don't know what I'm going to say. Michael Scott, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like...
Michael Schratt, not Michael Scott. He's from The Office. Michael Schratt.
I did mean Michael Scott.
You did?
That's a line from The Office.
I thought you were referencing when we did the Michael Schratt episode, and you were like, I'm just kind of talking. I'm rambling. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I mean, yeah. Also Michael Schratt. Yeah. I love that they listened to that episode, too, and they're like...
that was really cool. Oh, man,
yeah.
I forgot to tell them to listen to the episode 50 with Eric in it, so... Yeah, man. I mean, that's just super cool, man. I really...
It sounded like she didn't realize Eric Mitchell was Eric Mitchell. She realized it afterwards. She was like, oh, fuck, I've heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you know, another cool thing, too, man, is, you know, when we talk about that attraction, it's like, maybe, like, our style kind of repels the dickheads.
It has.
Because
it has so far.
We have only attracted amazing people.
Dude. That's a really great point. We've only had the most amazing interactions with some of the most amazing people.
Because when you look at these amazing people, they're not taking themselves so serious that it's like this fucking thing. Right. But when you talk about the big names out there, I don't know who she was talking about, but like maybe I kind of have an idea. And yeah, those guys are like dickheads.
Well, Travis Walton was amazing to us.
Yeah,
but
he was really nice to us.
We didn't really talk to him, and he's just like, dude, such a fucking cool guy.
Yeah,
like,
he was
such a cool interaction. He like signed your book and shit, and like. What did he write?
I'm going to play guitar tonight.
Dude,
like, he had his guitar with him, dude. He just got his hair dyed. I mean, the man was like on point,
crushing it.
Just trimmed his mustache to like perfection. Yeah. I mean, he was on point. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's just you know, I don't know. But
I feel bad because I feel like Travis Walton isn't here to defend himself. If he were here, he would have been like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I ate something bad and like my stomach is hurting. I'm so sorry. Like, I bet I'm just being optimistic because we had such a good interaction and like the people that other people that I've talked to that met Travis Walton, they're like, dude, he's the best fucking guy ever. Yeah. So, like, I'm just going off of that. Like, I'm so sorry that they had a terrible experience with him, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really terrible if you think about it, because
it was just kind of awkward.
It was like he knew that they have been... Remember what you said to me when we met him, and you were like, you looked into his eyes, and you were like, this guy's seen some shit. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's what it was.
You can see the PTSD in his eyes.
Yeah, so I wonder if you were... I think you were trying to make this point. Earlier, or maybe you already did and I forgot about it, but like maybe it was this repelling moment where like, oh, you've seen some shit, I have too, I don't want to relive that right now.
Yeah,
I'm having a great time.
I'm trying to distance myself.
That could be it, man.
I'm in this like party signing autographs mode.
And maybe
I don't want to go into relive my abduction experience.
Fuck yeah, that could totally be it. Dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I mean, all in all, man, fantastic episode.
Chad and
Fantastic
Alta,
episode.
man. What a great story. What great storytellers. There's so much to it, and I'm so glad we were able to have them on and they reached out to us. So, I mean, if anybody that's listening that has a story that wants to reach out to us, I mean, this is how it happens. It's so dumb. Like, just message us.
Yeah,
like,
we're
there's
like
no fucking form to fill out. Just message us on Facebook.
Just hit us
man.
up. And then the day we do the podcast, we're like, hey, you want to talk to these people? And we're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And we fucking do it because it's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Because it's cool.
But yeah, that was great, man. That's gonna go in in my top 5 for sure. Definitely
dude,
in my
yeah,
top 5.
definitely.
But hey, we got some big news. We did the Redeemer giveaway.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this person will be able to receive it because I'm dropping shit all over the place. But
oh yeah, this is funny.
yeah, the big winner for the Redeemer package is, believe it or not, William Townsend. Step right up, man.
From the Band of Bearded Brothers, the
Yep.
Bob podcast.
Yep.
He's one of our very good friends.
And I know he had asked a question about like drug testing and whatnot, and does it show up? And more than likely, man, it's really not enough to show up. The only reason we say that it could possibly is because there's a small ass chance that maybe some random shit. It's the equivalent to eating like a poppy seed bagel and then having to take a drug test, and it's like, oh, you've been doing opiates, and you're like, no, dude, I actually just had a fucking bagel, with poppy seeds
delicious.
on it. So it's kind of the same exact thing, man. If you can't take it and you want to pass it on to somebody else, just let us know and we can definitely do that. But you did win the package, man.
Yeah. Well, explain how he won, because I feel like listeners are gonna be like, no, wait, he's your friend. Like, wow.
Yeah, no.
You guys
so
chose
it was. I mean, we put the instructions on there, dude.
were
I mean,
not
Bailey
a part
did
of this at all.
Bailey did a very good job at putting the instructions. She posted it all on there. You got to like our page, their page, and so I guess if William did like their page and went for it, then he gets the package, man.
They put a bunch of names into a random generator.
Yep.
Is what you were telling me.
Yep.
And then William won.
And then William picked it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Is that the balm?
This is the balm. They call it
Don't drop it, dude.
What is it? A Slav or
salve.
Salve.
It's
or
a
something.
butt salve. You put it on your butt.
You put the CBD in.
Put that CBD right on your butt. Hey,
Yeah.
You do a little.
You just
You
blot your butthole with it.
We should put a Q-tip in there. I'll tell you that much.
No, I mean I think it's for your hands and shit. Oh god damn it! Oh, so funny. And then we got these sick ass
what else is in
stickers,
here?
man. I mean, we got these awesome stickers.
We're like touching all your shit.
We've got the pre-rolls in here, brother man. If you and the old lady, I mean, I know you got some churns. I know you got churn walking around the house, William. You know what I'm saying? So late night when they're asleep and it's time to kind of wind down and relax, and maybe you're out of what is that apple cider drink that you were drinking on the podcast that one day, whatever. Hit one of these, man. I mean, it's good. It ain't gonna get you high or nothing.
Yeah,
it's just gonna make you feel good. You got this here mask,
dude.
You got a mask.
And fun fact about this mask is when you wear it, nobody thinks that you smoke weed.
Yeah, it's got weed leaves on it
because it's hemp.
But you tell them that this isn't
Hemp
weed.
leaves.
It's hemp.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
But you have to shout. You have to shout it constantly.
It's hemp.
It's not. It's
not weed. It's hemp.
It's no weed. It's hemp.
You got this sweet ass oil in here too, brother man. That you
spray
won.
this shit with Lysol before we
So,
send
dude,
it,
I
by the
mean,
way.
you're gonna be making some mango smoothies with that, and you got the 5 capsule sample packet, man. So, congratulations, William. You are the big winner, man.
The big wiener.
The big
wiener?
You're the big wiener, dude.
wiener.
You're the big wiener. All right, William. So, yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, and also if let us know if you're like, hey, I'm I'm a little afraid of getting drug tested, just let us know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, man. We'll give it. We'll go to the second place winner or whatever. So just let us know, brother, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
But I feel like William has been such an integral part of this podcast since the beginning. I was kind of like, wait, that's okay. No, that's dope.
Yep.
Hell, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like, as much as it'd be cool, like somebody that just found out about our podcast and like, oh my God, I also won this shit. But also like, dude, I want to give like, dude, the people that have stuck by us, man, like it's such a cool, I don't know. It was a happy accident.
Definitely, cool. Man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, all right, dude. They're going to be back next week.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait, dude.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, that's it for me, man.
Yeah.
Is that it for you tonight?
Yes.
All right. Wait.
Can we show the people what you drew while we're doing
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm pretty artistic, so let's see here. I drew this sweet ass dick. I was trying to make Ben laugh, and I almost succeeded.
I like had one of those belly laughs, but then like I have such focus sometimes.
You do,
and
it's
I was able
Adderall.
to. I didn't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but that's it.
Oh God.
But yeah, dude, you've got such a steady hand. Also, when you like, what really almost got me to fucking bust out laughing is when you did the jizz, and it's like coming out like a sprinkler, like in all different directions.
Oh, dude! As a landscaper, I know all about full coverage when it comes to sprinklers.
And the fact that when you were drawing it, you didn't even look at me once. You were just like no facial expression at all.
Oh God, dude.
That's funny.
Hell yeah.
All right, man. That was fun. Thank you guys for listening. This was fun. We'll see you next week. Same people.
This was another episode of UFO Garage. Talk to you next time. Peace.